Hello and welcome back to another Slay the Spire stream. This is a special stream where we're going to be talking exclusively about the past month of playing Ironclad. What we did right, what we did wrong, what we want to change in the future, and what we learned. I'm here's Vegetablebread, and let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is where we died. So it's really important. Okay, so to play the game optimally, you want to minimize your chance of losing the game, right? That's the that's the fundamental thing you're trying to avoid at each floor. You're trying to avoid losing. Sorry, my hair's all wet. It's getting weird. You're trying to avoid losing on that floor. And so you want to and part of what makes minimizing your chance of losing difficult is you have different things that you need to do to avoid losing at different phases of the game. So like in Act 1, to avoid losing to Gremlin Knob, you need to pick early attacks. For Act 2, you need AoE. For Act 4, you need like crazy scaling and like a way to, or maybe a way to get rid of the vulnerable or something from the heart. Lots of different dangerous things in the game. So we played a total of 27 games over the course of February. Let's take a look at them real quick. So we had this win. This was like a Dead Branch win. We had this win. This was Niao gives us Magic Flower, and we get Crazy Sustain. Let's see. Did this end up being a dropkick loop? I see a dropkick in a pyramid. I'm trying to remember. Is there a Rampage as well? We had 4 apparitions. I think that's mainly what the deck did. Just apparitions and Fiendfire or whatever. Oh, that's right. It turned into a Limit Break deck at the end. I remember now. So we had like a little bit of starting strength with the like Red Skull or Vajra, and then we turned it into a million. Okay, so that was a win. This was a death to Slavers. We had Calipers. I remember this one was really disappointing because we had Calipers and Art of War, and we were trying to scale and entrench. But we were too slow for Act 2. We died. This one we died to Slime Boss. Got some really disappointing starting relics. Bottled Flame. Not what you're looking for. I'm kind of surprised we lost to Slime Boss. I guess we fought too many elites. Oh, we took 32 damage to sentries. Yikes. And 30 damage to Lagavulin, yeah. Okay, so we really just died to elites, but we limped into the boss. Shockingly, we took 3 upgrades. Oh no, we took 2 upgrades after resting once. But we did try to go into the slime boss with 23 health. Probably could have survived that one if we just rested. Oops. This one doesn't count because this is a pantograph, or Now's Lament, which means we probably lost the previous run in Act 1. Which we did. Died to a large slime. This is a Searing Blow. This one's kind of a meme. We took a Searing Blow and weren't able to scale it. Are these stats included in the vanilla game? Yes, they are. If you just go to your run statistics screen. This time we died to Avocado. What was this deck trying to do? It's a Pandora's Box that didn't quite get off the ground. Perfected Strike, Pandora's Box is pretty weird. I think that's kind of what killed us. We're scaling a Perfected Strike in Act 1, and then we picked Pandora's Box, and it was bad. And we died. 2 second wins and an entrench is kind of fun, but didn't have enough damage for Avocado, or enough block to block Avocado. We died Collector in this one. This was a potion run, so we had White Beast Statue, Sacred Bark, and Potion Belt. Got the whole gang. But we ended up like not having potions most of the time. I wish it told you when you spent potions, because it tells you when you get potions, but not how many potions you had. But if my memory is correct, we like went into the collector fight with like only 1 potion. Which is probably not good enough. I do like swapping into Markabane. Markabane's a really good start. We didn't get very many exhausts though, just 1 True Grit. It's not great. Armaments Plus always feels pretty good. I don't remember the story for this one, but Yeah, guess we couldn't pay off the potion thing. It's an early Birdface urn. This one died to Hyper Beam guy. Looks like we just never scaled. I guess we had Demon Form plus, but... and Barricade. Huh. I don't see this being a Barricade deck. It doesn't seem... We had a double tap? I don't know what we were doing here. Evolve plus? Just a lot of powers and nothing that actually, like, works with them. Is Armaments Plus an insta-pick early game? You never get offered an Armaments Plus early game. You can only be offered upgraded cards if you either get Toxic Egg, or the appropriate egg for the card type, or if you're in Act 2. But yeah, I would say Armaments is extremely good early pickup. This sort of game merits more analysis for reasons that I'll get to in a second. This one's a win. We don't have to talk about wins too much. I'm pretty sure this was a dropkick loop. Yeah, this was double tap dropkick. And then we had a Rampage in there too for Time Lord. This was a really spicy one. Super strong. I think we beat the heart at like 100 health. Yeah, we did. We didn't lose, like... We took 8 damage to the heart, but I'm pretty sure it was mostly self-inflicted beat damage. That was a no-doubter. This one was kind of interesting because we started with a Rampage. Yeah, first floor was a Rampage. And then it made us pick a small deck, and that small deck ended up being compatible with a Dropkick later. I mean, the double tap also is good with Rampage. This one's a loss to Avocado again. I do really like Kunai Necronomicon. It's too bad we lost this one. Looks like we just kind of got chipped down early on. Took 12 damage to Muggers, 21 damage to the Tome, 6 damage to the Nest. Fought a Gremlin Leader, took 18 damage, and then just got finished off by Fungi Beast. So it wasn't really like Fungi Beast killed us out of nowhere. It was just that we, you know, sort of got chipped down all back too. I noticed you removed Strikes Not Defend. Reasonings? I think that actually evolved a little bit over the course of the run. Early in the run I was removing Strikes, and late in the run I was removing Defends. So I'll talk about that more in a second. This was a non-run. This was a Lament race. Because we died to Lagavulin on the previous one. Yeah, floor 6 Lagavulin. But wait, how did we get down to 38? We took 18 damage on floor 1 against small slimes. That's pretty savage. Then Jawworm did 12 damage to us. Lagavulin hits for 46. Yeah, that's a pretty brutal start. I guess that'll just happen sometimes. We picked up a Wild Strike, a Cleave, an Exhume, and it's like we had 2 Wild Strikes, and I don't understand how we lost to Lagavulin with 2 Wild Strikes. Obviously, Exhume and Feel No Pain are not lifting much weight there, but we had Charon's Ashes. Seems like pretty reasonable picks. I'm not sure what went wrong here. It's like spending 23 health for upgrades, but without the upgrades. Yeah, seriously. This one's very confusing to me, looking back. It seems like Charon's Ashes is a strong start. Exhume and Feel No Pain seem pretty reasonable, especially when Exhume is offered by just like a regular common fight. How in the world did we take 30 damage to or 46 damage to Lagavulin? I guess we were just a little bit too slow. Bash plus solves Log. I mean, first off, we never went to a campsite, so we couldn't have upgraded Bash. Second off, Bash plus is bad against Lagavulin. You would want a Wild Strike plus, because you want to Bash and leave him asleep, and then Wild Strike on the next turn. This one is very strange, though. But also, welcome in. Sorry, Inertia RL. Don't mean to, like, get super fighty with you as soon as you show up. Thanks to all the Blem Raiders. Blem, welcome to all the Raiders. Welcome, Nate Coolidge. I see you. Raiden. I should do my Veggie Raid emote when people raid me. Blem, we're just doing an analysis stream. So all February I played Ironclad, and then all March I'm going to play Silent. And so this is since this is the last stream of February, I'm wrapping up the Ironclad runs by taking a look at them. This one's a weird one. I don't know how we lost on floor 6 to Laga. 2 wild strikes. Seems like enough. 2 wild strikes and a cleave. I don't know. I guess the shrug it off wasn't good. But I don't. This one seems like it should have been survivable. I guess we just got really unlucky. This one doesn't count. It was a race to the Act 1 boss. Because we died to Gremlin Knob in a previous run. I remember this day. This day was rough. The 18th. Because we lost to Gremlin Knob and Lagavulin. I was like, what the hell? This one we started with Art of War, which is insane. Probably picked too many skills and died to Gremlin Knob. It's not hard to imagine Art of War dying to Gremlin Knob. So yeah, we took a Battle Trance. I picked a Fire Breathing. So we only had 1 attack by the time we went into Gremlin Knob. That's just not enough. You need more than a Wild Strike. I wonder if there was another option for the path. I wonder if we could have dodged that. Because I'm pretty sure we knew we weren't winning any elite fight with just a Wild Strike and a Fire Breathing. Maybe we were hoping for Sentries. Fire Breathing would have killed them. This one just seems like a mistake. How did we get into normality? Oh, it must have been... Wait. We must have done a curse for something from Niao. But it wasn't for a relic. And we don't have any rare cards. Hey, will you chill, Coconut? Oh, curse for gold. That makes sense. Yeah, curse for gold, never go to a shop, die to first elite. Yep. So we probably had a path available where we had a shop, but we chose not to take it because normality doesn't matter. I can see taking a Battle Trance making more sense with the normality in the deck. Or not Battle Trance, Fire Breathing. Yeah, there were no attacks available on floor 1. That's what really killed us, just not having enough attacks. Picked a Wild Strike second floor, and then there was an attack available on floor 4. Probably should have taken the Cleave. But honestly, like, Cleave over Fire Breathing with 2 curses in the deck? Not at all obvious. But then we got knobbed. This one's a win. Let's see, what were we doing here? Huge deck, 35 cards. Oh, it was pellets. This was a pellets flex. Yeah. I remember this one. That one is fun. Yeah, that's why it's a huge deck, right? We needed lots of powers to make to do the flex a bunch. So we did pellets flex. Did we have a Reaper? No Reaper. That's right. I remember we were looking for a Reaper the whole time. I don't think it really mattered though. I think we were pretty healthy. Oof, we took 59 damage to Shield and Spear. They made us work for it. We were down to 5 by the end. Looks like. Also 6 turn heart fights, pretty quick. We did have a Reaper. Yeah, there's one there. Is there corruption in this? That's true, there is. Yeah, corruption can lead to a large deck. This looks like it was a squeaker. We almost died here. Frozen Egg and Orange Pellets is sick. Bunch of upgraded attacks. We had a Bottled Tornado too. I wonder what was in it. I don't remember. Maybe it's the Feel No Pain. Could have been corruption, but I don't know when we had the when we got the corruption, when we got the tornado. So we got the tornado here. Looks like we already had the corruption. Oh no, we picked up the corruption on floor 47, so we can't be corruption. Must have had something else bottled. I love having Armaments Plus. Armaments Plus is a frequent winner. We had a double tap to go with the Reaper. That's pretty nice. It was a feed deck, so we had only had 95 max HP. That's strange. Must have been a late feed. Oh yeah, picked up feed from the Act 2 boss. I just randomly moused over it. Skipped a Reaper for that feed. Seems like the deck really could have used a second Reaper with all the flexes and stuff. Maybe we didn't know we were Orange Pellets deck. No, we got the Orange Pellets in Act 1. We got the Orange Pellets like here, yeah. So we knew we were an Orange Pellets deck. Probably should have picked the Reaper from here. But whatever, it's a win. This one is a win too. Another Orange Pellets deck. Doesn't look like we were doing the same thing, though. Looks like... Huh, 2 pommel strikes is suspicious. Oh, it was a Sundial Infinite. Yeah, I remember this one. That's fun. So this was just an exhausted deck, play pommel strikes forever. Infinite. Did we ever fight Time Lord? We did. We killed Time Eater with it, too. Killing Time Eater with infinites is not super easy. We did take almost 60 damage from him, so... yeah, I wonder how we pulled that off. Molten Egg is great. Did we have a Pandora's Box or something? There's like no strikes left in this deck. 1 strike and 4 defense. This was me trying out something, which I might be doing next month. People give me feedback on this. So the goal here was we start with draft in purple as silent, and then I was going to do a ladder where you're required to only do damage with pressure points. And you can't do any damage other than pressure points or else you lose. Because draft makes the game really easy, but only being able to use pressure points makes the game really hard. So I feel like those are well matched. And I really like doing silent pressure points because then you can do like nightmare pressure points or burst pressure points or something. Sounds like fun. And you get to abandon if you don't find the pressure points in the draft. Let's see. This time we died to Gremlin Leader. Swapping into Ectoplasm is pretty tough. Draft is you get to replace your starting deck with 10 cards that you pick, so you get sort of 10 card rewards instead of your strikes and defense. It's really, really strong. It's one of the strongest random modifiers. So you have to do something to make the game hard again, or else it's just going to be a complete cakewalk. It's like guaranteed swapping into a Pandora's Box, except you get to pick what's in the box, which is absolutely insane. Although you can't get rare cards, so or maybe you can. Let's see. I'm not sure. All right. We had Gira. How much strength did Gira have? I guess fires. So we lift it. So we were 1 out of 3 strength. This is just a Vajra. We had 3 Shrug-It-Offs. We had a Power Through and a Mark of Pain, but no way of removing statuses. So I imagine that's how we died. We just got too many statuses. How many turns was it? It's only 4 turns. Probably didn't redraw too many statuses. But if you have Mark of Pain, you can have a turn where you draw 3 real cards and 2 statuses, and I think that's what happened, if I remember correctly. We just like drew nothing on turn 2 and he attacked. 2 Carnages is nice, especially with 5 energy. Interesting. Didn't get enough AoE, didn't get any weaken, didn't get disarm or anything. I wonder if we were offered any of those things. Carnage is hard to question. Probably should have been Sword Boom over Dual Wield. Floor 2 Dual Wield kind of memey. Sword Boom is quite nice. Had a fairy too. Wow, where did we spend the fairy? Big to second Carnage. Probably should have been Cleave over Thunderclap. I'm not sure why I picked Thunderclap over Cleave. Oh, I guess I had 2 Carnages, huh? So I wanted the vulnerable. That makes sense. Shrug It Off over Entrench, I think is correct. I don't think you skip there either. I think this is us eating the fairy already, because we started at 24 health, and we took 30 damage. Yeah, we got totally beat up by these thugs that did 36 to us. So we drank the fairy super quick. Wow, taking damage at Scrappies when you're at 13, it's pretty bold. We didn't have like a Reaper or anything, did we? Nope. Another Cleave skip. Took Ghostly Armor? That's way sketch. I'm very suspicious of that one. Wow, at 9 health, upgraded bludgeon. Oh, I guess we rested next floor. Oh, this was a living wall. It wasn't a campsite. Paper Frog's super nice too. Paper Frog. Oh, I guess champion belt is probably why we picked the Thundercloud champ belt. Man, so much vulnerable value there. It's a shame. And this one died to champ. It's a black star. Looks like we made a lot of value out of Act 2. Maybe we just got beaten up too much. Oh, we did ghosts. Doesn't look like we got beaten up. Oh, wait. Yeah, we did. Took 44 damage to leader. Oof. Bunch of damage to Sneckow. 13 turns. Why did we go 13 turns against champ? What was this deck doing? We had a Dark Embrace. Huh. Dark Embrace, Second Wind, Offering. It's like a lot of card draw, but like there's like not really anything in the deck. I guess like Second Wind, Power Through, right, is kind of a thing. We had a Rage? What the hell was a Rage doing in here? 2 Cleave pluses? I think the Cleave pluses are probably why we took the Black Star, right? Cleave plus makes you pretty good at Act 2. Yeah, so after I went through all of these, I was going to go over the sort of heat map of where we died, and Champ definitely killed us more than any other Act 2 boss. I mean, I imagine if we went 13 turns against Champ and had 0 scaling, probably the problem is we didn't have any scaling. I guess we had spot weakness, so we did have scaling. Maybe the spot weakness just didn't line up. It's pretty easy for Champ to not be attacking. I can imagine that. Yeah, Kunai as well. This doesn't look like a great Kunai deck. It's 3 energy. So it's probably didn't get too much dex. Maybe we needed like an Iron Wave or something to scale the Kunai. Yeah, Iron Kunai is tough. Because the only real, like, play a spammable zero-cost attack is Anger. And Anger's, like, A, takes a long time to get online, and B, like, is such garbage, because you just have to, like, draw them. you don't get any special, like, Flurry of Blows thing where you get to play it extra times. You just have to just brute force your way through them. And Ironclad has trouble with draw already. Hey, Spitty. Died to Sentries this time. Apparently, early in the run, I was not doing the race to the boss thing, because we died in Act 1 here, but we didn't take Lament. So we must have taken max HP. So this one, like, almost doesn't count, right? Because we didn't get the good Neo option, so we started out behind. I should have just taken the Lament and raced it. Dying to Sentries here. Yeah, max HP is terrible. Let's see, how did we... So we took 2 elites, just took 30 to both. Yeah, we had a Demon Form plus, it must have been from Niao. We upgraded Demon Form at 30 health. I don't know about that. I mean, obviously, hindsight is 20/20. Maybe we were only getting 2 elites in the act or something, and we just thought we could wing it through, but I don't know if upgrading Demon Form was correct there. Upgrade Demon Form, die next floor. Was I worried about Champ in Act 2? I don't, this is a long time ago. This was almost 2 weeks ago. 2 headbutts, too. That's a weird pick. 2 headbutts and a bloodletting. What the hell was I doing here? Why did I pick up bloodletting? Oh, I didn't. Wait, no, I did. I took a bloodletting from Gremlin Knob. This is very strange. It seems like this should either be a skip or a body slam. I mean, body slam's pretty insane with Demon Form, right? Why did I skip body slam? Also, we have power through. It was like an obvious body slam pick. What the hell is bloodletting doing in this deck? Am I missing something? I guess we had meat on the bone. Was that the justification? We have meat on the bone, so we should just hurt ourselves? I don't understand this at all. I guess we were having trouble playing the Demon Form, right? So we wanted extra energy. That's wild pick. That was definitely wrong. Should have been a body slam. And this should have been a rest, so a lot of mistakes here in Act 1. This is just like a blundered into death run. Removing a strike is probably not right either. That makes us take more damage to a Gremlin Knob. This was early in the month before I started removing defense. I'm going to talk about the card removed now just because it's interesting. So it's really difficult to determine whether you're supposed to remove strikes or defense early on Ironclad, and really interesting. So a lot of Ironclad decks end up wanting to exhaust the whole deck. By the end of the heart fight in a game where you win, your deck size is usually like 10 cards or something with Ironclad. You just like exhaust everything that isn't necessary and all the statuses and wounds and stuff. If you keep defense in the deck, then you can exhaust them with Second Wind. But if you keep strikes in the deck, then you can kill Gremlin Knob. And both of those things are really important. Like, strikes are way better in Act 2 than defense. Because you want to, like, kill gremlins and slavers and stuff. That's way better than just trying to block for 5, or, 3 if you're frail. And they're just way better block cards in Ironclad. So I think this since there's nothing in here that says, hey, this is going to be an exhaust deck, we need to keep the defense so that we can exhaust them with Second Wind. We probably should have removed a defend here. So we made mistakes 3 floors in a row. This was supposed to be a defend, this was supposed to be body slam, this was supposed to be rest. And that's just, that way you die. Yeah, sure. Oh, you just mean removing in general, if you're talking about Pandora's, yeah. Yeah, transforms in Act 1 probably better than removes, because transforms are more efficient at diluting the density of basics in your deck, since they add a random card. Also, you can get rare cards, and most Ironclad rare cards are busted. This is an interesting one. This is kind of a case study in, like, you make mistakes 3 floors in a row and then you die. This one was a win. Looks like a Snecko Eye. Oh, I see a Sundial. Wait, you can't do Snecko Eye Sundial. Never mind. What the hell was this doing? There's an Entrench Plus and 2 barricades. So I guess that's what we were doing. 2 barricades. I think I remember picking the second barricade. I took it from like a Act 4 shop or something. No? Where did we get the second barricade? Well, we had it for a long time. We took it from floor 41. Double barricade. Yeah, double barricade, feel no pain, entrench. We had a dropkick too. I don't know if that was a component. Probably not because of Snecko Eye, but got rid of every strike. Kept the defense. Power through plus. Yeah, this is a no Second Wind here though. But we had 2 Fiend Fires. What was the Metallicize doing in the deck? Oh man, we had Sundial and Abacus too. So after we Fiend Fired and we had like a really small deck, that Sundial and Abacus were probably proccing like almost every turn. This one was sick. Exhaust the deck down, play Entrench Plus every turn, GG. Offering, Battle Trance, Reaper even. Took 75 damage against the heart. Went into the heart fight at 31 health, so... I guess that Reaper was doing a lot of work. I don't see the strength. I must be missing it. There's a pen nib. Where's the strength coming from? Is it like toolbox strength? Surely not. I think toolbox can't get strength, right? Yeah, I'm missing something. You can't take 75 damage. Maybe there was a fairy. Must have been a fairy? Yeah, we picked a fairy in a bottle from the merchant. And an ancient pot. That's pretty good too. We got a floor 55 Eternal Feather. Very useful, thank you. Oh, I remember this one. We picked up a Body Slam immediately before the heart fight. There was only 1 Body Slam in the deck, and that was it. We took floor 55. Lovely. That one was fun. All right, how did we get there? Like, because like the problem with barricade decks, a lot of times you die in Act 2. So, like, what were we doing in Act 2? We just had, like... We had a really productive Act 1, is what happened. We got all these relics. Up to Astrolabe. We did a Shining Light. Wow, Shining Light and 4 elites. Holy crap. What in the world? How did we pull that off? Did we get the war paint from Niao? No, it can't have been, because we upgraded a... We upgraded a Stroganoff and a Power Through with our first relic. That's pretty sick. So what did Niao give us? Was this a... No, this was a real one. Must have given us a rare card. Maybe it was the Fiendfire. I bet this was a Fiendfire start. Yeah, Fiendfire makes it seem very possible to get 4 elites in Act 1 and still do a spot weakness. Let's see if we ever gain the Fiendfire. Not seeing a Fiendfire yet. Wait, we should have upgraded it somewhere. No, upgrade armaments and trigger it. Got a barricade from the first boss. We also got... Oh, I remember this. We got 2 treasures in a row from the beginning. That's so unlikely. It's a 1 in, like, 400. 2 treasures at the beginning of the act. Upgraded an entrench here. We already had a barricade, so I guess we were doing the whole thing by Act 2. Where did we upgrade the Fiendfire? 440? I think we... Yeah, but we never added a Fiendfire before that, right? So we just... we were just holding... Yeah, we had a Fiendfire the entire game, and we picked up a second one on floor 45. Unless we bought one from a shop. Nope. Yeah, so we swapped into a Fiendfire. That's how we did it. Yeah, barricade is super good. It's not a unique life coach observation. Barricade is definitely good. I mean, the turn you play barricade, you're super vulnerable, but after that, you do some sort of feel no pain, second wind nonsense, and you're off to the races. This one we died to Champ. This is the second one we've died to Champ with. This was the bomb. This one was kind of a meme. We tried to dual wield the bomb or something. No, we just had 2 bombs. We like had a duplication shrine or something. Yeah, we duplicated the bomb. Pretty funny, but this is just not a good idea. So the learning from this is don't do that. Doesn't work. Maybe if we weren't against Champ, maybe if we didn't need to scale, the bomb could have been good. Collector versus bomb is pretty insane, right? Classic bomb Champ. We duplicated the bomb, like, knowing Champ was coming, too. We duplicated the bomb in Act 2, so, like, there's really no excuse. we knew it was Champ. Oh, man. Bomb Champ. R.I.P. Beautiful genius. This is one of the very few Act 3 deaths. We actually only died in Act 3 twice the entire month. This time, Awaken 1 got us. Swapped into Curse Key. This Spirit Poop was probably our Curse Key curse from the first treasure. Yep. Got a regret from that treasure and gave it away. That's kind of fun. Looks like a Chemex Whirlwind build, probably. Had some strength. Pen Nib. Pretty unfortunate strike dummy after Pandora's Box. Yeah. Barricade Double Entrench seems like it shouldn't die to Awaken 1. We did go into the fight really low. Wait, is the damage at the top? That's at the end of the fight, huh? I always thought that was at the beginning of the fight. No, it is at the beginning of the fight, because this one we took 0 damage, but it doesn't say that we healed. Oh, we didn't heal, duh. Huh. Man, 3 disarms died to awaken one? I want to see the replay on this one. What the hell happened here? Three burning pacts, so we were trying to do double entrench every turn. How was this too slow? Maybe we just like drew really poorly and we like always had second wind with entrench or something? Man. This one looks an awful lot like a win. So yeah, the health must be after the floor, right? Because we were 36 here and then we rested. Now we're at 57. So after time eater, took 46, so we were at like 11 and healed for 15 somehow. 4 turns of awaken one, so yeah, we were just too slow. He just got all over us. We had too low health after the time meter fight. Yeah, this one doesn't seem like we did anything like obviously wrong. We just like took too long to get set up against time meter and didn't have enough time against awaken one. Yeah, this is exactly what someone was quoting a life coach is saying, right? It's like we take 30 damage per fight. We just took 46 against time meter, so we were over our max HP budget. This one died to the heart. There's only 2 runs that died in Act 4, both to the heart. This was apparently one of them. I think I remember this one. This one was just like... We never, like, really had a plan for killing the heart. We just, like, had a bunch of good cards. And it just wasn't enough. I wish you could see what was in Bottled Lightnings. I guess we did have a barricade... but no entrench. 2 ruptures. Oh, was this the... Yeah, this was the Rupture Warp Tongues one. It was just too slow. Yeah, we still had the pain from the Warp Tongues in Act 4. Weird that there's 1 Hemo in this deck, and no, no, what's that card called? The one where you do AoE fire damage every turn? I'd call it fire damage, it was just damage. Combust? Is that the name? I think the bot's been broken. I need to figure out how to get that to work again. Yeah, Combust. So no Combust in the deck is kind of bad. 2 Ruptures. Definitely needs a Combust. This was me sort of playing around with new Rupture for the first time. I had never done a Rupture run since the changes, and it seemed like we got teed up for it with the Warp Tongues pretty easily. But yeah, I think you need a little bit more than that against the heart. We need like a limit break or something. Barricade Curse wasn't helping either. Also, not even very much strength scaling. It's really just 1 sword boom. Oh, I got a pummel to him. Huh. This one seems like it could have been a win. Died to Sentries. Our 3rd elite of Act 1. Maybe being a little bit ambitious there. Started with a Frozen Egg. He had a Bludgeon Plus. Bludgeon Plus seems like it should win against Sentries. Oh, we only had 16 health when we went in. We must have been forced into this path. Wow, Exordium Tugs did 46 damage. That's absurd. Oh, that's where we died. This was just us running out of health. What was the mistake here, other than fighting Exordium thugs? I don't know. Bunch of energy on turn 1, bludgeon. The Unceasing Top is obviously super weak. We had a Feel No Pain plus. It's not a good card in Act 1. So maybe we were... I guess we had a Frozen Egg, right? So we didn't, like, upgrade it. We just got it upgraded. Yeah, I think that's probably fine. Did we really need to remove normality here? We probably could have made better use of that merchant than removing normality. Because I don't think normality costs us anything with a bludgeon in the deck. We also, like, already had a Burning Pact. Maybe we picked up the Burning Pact later. Yeah, we did. Okay, so we didn't have the Burning Pact. Seems like maybe we could use an extra attack. Blood for Blood is a good card, but it's kind of risky. You have to take damage for it to do stuff. We had a Hemo for it. I don't know. We had lots of damage, right? Bludgeon, Blood for Blood, Hemo. That should have been good enough. Kind of had some sort of not super useful skills. Intimidate and Spot Weakness. Those are a little slow. But, yeah. I think we just got unlucky against the Exordium Thugs. I mean, you know, we could probably win this run if you're playing perfectly, but... I'm not sure what went wrong. It's hard to tell from the replay. Let's see, Fiendfire Plus. How big did this Ritual Dagger get, I wonder? Died to Bronze Automaton. Took an upgrade at 16 health. Oh, this was an Apparitions run, huh? Oh, that makes sense. Toxic Egg Apparitions. So we just ran out of Apparitions, or didn't draw one on the turn he Hyper Beamed or something. Three energy, 2 Burning Pact pluses. I guess 4 energy. 4 energy, but 2 Burning Pact pluses seems like a lot. I guess we had a Toxic Egg, so we didn't pay for the upgrades, but 2 Burning Pacts seems like a lot. Seems like we were just planning on Ritual Dagger killing him, and it didn't. I guess we had 2 Spot Weaknesses. 2 Twin Strikes. Definitely had the scaling it needed. I'm not. I guess like Spot Weakness can be hard to do against Automaton because he only attacks every other turn. 10 turns means we did actually we ate a Hyper Beam, so we did actually survive the Hyper Beam. We died on a random flail later. We were just too slow, so we must have not lined up the Spot Weaknesses. We needed more consistent scaling, I guess. He did 34 damage, but we only had 16 health, so we must have... Oh, I guess we just got overkilled by a bunch. I did Book of Stabbing on this one. Swapping into Tiny House is pretty abysmal. I don't think we have to make too many excuses for this one. Looks like a promising set of relics there at the end. Shuriken, Tungsten Rod, Ink Bottle, Snecko Eye, Molten Egg, Sundial is like, whoa, those are good. 2 Pommel Strikes on a Snecko Eye. Seems like a good position. We didn't actually do that bad in Act 1. 4 relics? How did we get 4 relics? We only fought 2 elites. Wait, how did we get 4? Oh, we must have gotten... Wait, no, we can't got old coin from Neo. This was a swap. Oh, wow, we did Gold Shrine and an old coin. We were rich. Oh, we just bought a bunch of relics because we were super rich. That makes sense. Um, yeah, we started out behind. I don't know. Dying in Act 2 after Snecko Eye is not super uncommon. Because, oh look, the relic stats remembers how bad Snecko Eye is. I think we had every single Snecko Eye hated us. Every single Snecko Eye, like, favored 3 energy over 0 energy for the entire month. We just got unlucky the entire month with Snecko Eye. Yeah, double heavy blade seems pretty weird. I mean, we did have a Snecko Eye, so we don't, like, need that much excuse, but I don't think that Shuriken was doing too much. 2 pommel strikes with Snecko Eye should get you some Shuriken procs, but not like a million. Yeah, we did have an Inflame. What were the other boss relics? Good question. It does not tell us, which is weird because in other contexts it tells you what you skipped. It doesn't do that here. Well, I mean, if you have 2 heavy blades, picking an Inflame seems pretty reasonable. I don't know when we picked it, though. I assume in Act 2. Nope, that doesn't seem to have been true. What did we get it? Oh, we bought it from a shop on floor 7. We had a sword boom. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I liked it that day. I don't know what the deal was. I don't know. The name I picked, I think, like with 2 heavy blades are a good argument for Snecko Eye, right? So if you're saying we should have picked something else to get more consistent strength scaling to get the heavy blades more online, I don't know if I agree with that. I think, I mean, Snecko Eye and 2 pommel strikes at Shuriken will get you some procs. Yeah, I mean, the tiny house swap is obviously terrible, right? If we had 4 energy, this would have been, I think, a win for sure, right? But tiny house makes things tough. This one died to the heart. This is the other heart death. I see an early pocket watch, so I imagine that's what we were doing. Pocket watch kunai is kind of sad. Man, kunai and smoothstone. And 3 second wins. 3 perfected strikes. What the hell was this deck? 3 perfected strikes and a strike W. That's ridiculous. We had all 5 strikes upgrade. Oh, it must have been ancient writing. Well, we took apparitions too. Holy crap! How did this deck die? 4 apparitions. I guess we just didn't have enough damage. Yeah, I think I remember this one kind of petering out. I wish it told me how much damage I did to the heart. I feel like this one did like 758 damage or something. It was like super close. Yeah, 4 apparitions is pretty nuts. I'm gonna be honest, this one looks like a win. I'm not sure how we lost this one. I mean, the heart's tough, but like, Pocket Watch Ice Cream is super good. Snecko Eye is really good against the heart. We even had some extra energy to Lantern. Kunai and Ornamental Fan. And just like, Strike Dummy 3 perfected strikes should be enough, right? Like, that's good. That's damage. Then Chaku was here too. How much max HP did we have? Only 55. I would expect a little bit more with Singing Bowl. Apparition Singing Bowl. I'd expect to have like 70 by now. I guess we just took a lot of cards. 33. Huh. Why do we have 2 Metallicizes? It's kind of a weird idea. Whoa, we have 700 gold for the Act 4 shop. Yeah, I think I remember this one. We got the Strike W from floor 55. And an extra perfected strike. We knew we were super slow on damage, huh? Ooh, and a Cult Pot? Wow. This card award is insane for this deck. Strike to me, Perfected Strike, Cult Pot. Whew. Yeah, we were clearly struggling, right? Taking 30 damage to Shield and Spear. Could have used a Reaper. But we didn't have any strength scaling, we were just Perfected Strike scaling. So that makes it tough. And, like, you know, kunai scaling. Yeah, this is kind of being a Perfected Strike deck is pretty difficult. I imagine we took a Perfected Strike on, like, floor 1, right? Yeah, we did. But, like, starting with Pocket Watch is great. Yeah, it's true. We had all 5 strikes and 3 defense still in deck, so we're, like, really bad on card removal. Didn't take too many. Looks like only 3 shops over the course of the run. 2 in Act 2, 1 in Act 4. That's it. This wasn't even a surprise shop. We went through that shop voluntarily with 150 gold. That's a weird choice. Wonder why we did that. There was a fire after it, 2 fires after it, probably for those. Oh, we tried to dual-wield Metallicize, huh? Oh, it was against the champ, too. Maybe we did dual-wield Metallicize. I guess that's why the Metallicize are in the deck. Yeah, there's 2 dual-wields. Oh, I remember this one. Yeah, yeah. We were, like, dual-wielding Perfected Strike. That's how we were scaling. That's right. So we were trying to dual-wield 0-cost Perfected Strikes with Snecko Eye. Well, that's kind of interesting. Way too slow against the heart. So it's not hard for me to imagine dual-wield Metallicize not working well against the heart. But it is interesting. I think we did out Metallicize champ here. But it had a cost, right? Because then we had these 4 cards sort of like junking up the deck. I don't think we ever probably dual-wield Metallicized again. Yeah, we removed Bash at the store on 44 or 54. Seems like kind of a weird choice since we were low on damage. Maybe we were supposed to remove a defend there. I think we might have just switched too late as well against the Corrupted Heart. I think we tried to dual-wield Metallicize, and then we, like, only once we realized that wasn't going to work did we switch to dual-wielding the Perfected Strikes. Maybe it was winnable and we just played it wrong. Pretty interesting run. I don't think I've ever imagined Pocket Watch, Snecko Eye, dual-wield Perfected Strike being a strategy, but here it is. I mean, you know, Apparitions blocks the first 2 heart cycles. Wow, we went 12 turns against the heart. Holy crap. That is a long heart fight. Jeez. I guess 2 Feel No Pains and a Fiend Fire, as well as 4 Apparitions. That'll get you there. 3 second wins. What a wild one. I love offering Apparition, too. I've mentioned that a bunch of times. This is like my favorite combo in Ironclad, offering Apparition. Gimme, gimme, gimme. This is our other Act 3 death. Awakened to 1. Died with a Pantograph. Huh. We were at full health. Awakened 1 killed us in 5 turns. Demon Form plus... Juggernaut plus... That was a Juggernaut plus doing in this deck. Very small deck, 23 cards. Had Bites. Got rid of most of the defense. Oh, this was a Busted Crown swap. I see. So we were just taking whatever we thought could work. We probably just, like, Runic Domed into missing, right? We just didn't know when he was attacking and did the wrong thing. Juggernaut Plus. Was the Juggernaut Plus after the Birdface urn? Nope. We voluntarily took a Juggernaut at some point. I wish that these were in acquired order, so that I could tell. Oh, there it is. We took a Juggernaut from the Slime Boss. What the hell was that? We had a Rage Plus, so that kind of makes sense. Rage Juggernaut's kind of a thing. I guess we were trying to be an Anger deck. This is a very weird one. I mean, 2 Battle Trances and Anger makes a lot of sense. Huh. We beat Champ with it. In 6 turns, so we didn't even, like, take a long time to scale Demon Form. And not only did we beat Champ, we perfected Champ. Doesn't seem like we have enough block to perfect Champ, but I guess we did. I guess Demon Form Anger is pretty strong, if you can get Demon Form on turn 1. Oh, the upgraded Juggernaut was involuntary. We didn't do it manually. Huh. Flex Plus, too. This was a fast one. Demon Form, Anger, Flex Plus. Interesting. Yeah, I've never tried Juggernaut Rage before. I mean, I guess I did here. Just a lot of attacks into Rage. It's a weird one. It seems like we made some compromises to the Busted Crown here. Ended up paying for them. This one died to Slavers. Another Demon Form deck. Almost a lot of these decks have Demon Form. Man, Demon Form Shuriken. This deck had a plan and it was to go fast. We got pellets right before we died. Let's see. 2 power throughs. I think we were just planning on never shuffling, right? Maybe it wasn't that fast. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it wasn't the fast deck. Nunchaku. Ink Bottle. Shuriken. We wanted to play a lot of attacks for sure. We took Anger again. Had an Immolate finally. Man, we died to Slavers with an Immolate? I can see why we took an aggressive path with an Immolate. Oh, we took 34 damage to Avocado, the floor before. That's what killed us. It was the bottom card, yeah. Maybe that's what happened here. Maybe we bottom decked the Immolate. I mean, honestly, we would have had to top deck it, right? We only had 29 health walking into Slavers. Yeah, they killed us in 2 turns. We just didn't have time to draw Immolate. We probably, like, tried to set up Immolate and then didn't draw it. I think I remember doing that at some point. I feel like I only got Immolate, like, once the entire month. Yeah, the previous fight was this one. We lost almost 40 health to Avocado. In 3 turns, too. So we did it fast. We just couldn't block enough. It seems like with 2 power threes, we should have been able to block better, but I guess we didn't draw them. That fight's so hard. Yeah, so we took a kind of aggressive path and ended up doing 3 elites in a row. On accident. Took Immolate, got too aggressive. I see a lot of green here. How did that happen? Toxic Egg? Still died to Champ, though. Looks like we didn't have any scaling. We tried to dual-wield Metallicize. Oh, I remember this one. This is the dual-wield Metallicize that we messed up. Wow, we took all 64 damage. We took 111 damage to Champ. Yeah, I remember this one. Snecko Eye, dual-wield Metallicize was the plan, and we just, like, we fucked it up. We played too many of the Metallicizes, so the Metallicize density was really low. This was just misplayed. I had never done the Metallicize dual-wield thing against Champ at this point. I knew it could be done, but I hadn't actually done it myself, so I misplayed it. Really nice Act 2. 4 elites with an Immolate plus. Looks like we were capped at max health pretty much the entire time. Seems like a really strong deck that we just, like, totally biffed Champ with. But I'm pretty confident this was supposed to be a win. Disarm Metallicize. Or, dual Metallicize. Whoops. And that's it. Yeah, this was the very first run of the month. Okay, so now we've talked about all the individual fights, or all the individual runs. Let's try and figure out the heat map of where we died. So I calculated this before I started the stream. We died 12 times in Act 2, dwarfing all the other death locations. We died 6 times in Act 1, 2 times in Act 3, and 2 times in Act 4. So if we're playing optimally, we want to be better at Act 2 and care less about Act 3 and 4. And I think that matches my thoughts, right? Because I pick Second Wind, or not Second Wind. Well, yes, Second. I picked Second Wind really highly, and Second Wind is super good at Acts 3 and 4. Yeah, we did accidentally split the Champ too early. That's true. So I picked Second Wind super highly, and I think that's reflected by the win rate. I think if we picked... Because Second Wind is not good at Act 2, and we die a lot in Act 2. So I think we probably are overvaluing early Second Winds. Despite the fact that Second Wind is super good, we do need to focus more on improving our Act 2 picks. I'm not sure what that means functionally, right? So I guess we're underpicking Cleave, which is something I realized late in the run. We need to pick Cleave more aggressively in Act 1 to optimize for Act 2. But actually the most common way we died in Act 2 was Champ. We died 3 times to Champ. We also died twice to Hyper Beam Guy. And twice to Slavers. And twice to Avocado. So the Champ and Hyper Beam Guy deaths indicate that we didn't find enough scaling by the end of Act 2. And the Slaver and Avocado deaths indicate that we didn't have enough front-loaded AoE damage. Because some of those Avocado deaths... And we actually died like 4 times to Avocado. It's just that some of the Avocado deaths ended up getting attributed to other fights because we lost like 40 health to Avocado and then died in the next fight. So we really need to focus more on how do you beat Avocado. I think Avocado is our number 1 enemy here. Outside of maybe Champ. I think Champ and Avocado are the main things we need to be thinking more about. Avocado is the shelled parasite. Sorry, I should call him by his name sometimes. So what cards do we pick in Act 1 to beat Shelled Parasite? I feel like that's kind of the $1,000,000 question, right? It's just like... that's just a really hard fight. I'm not really even sure there is, like, anything you can do to optimize for it. You can pick Power Through. I feel like Power Through plus on turn 1 is, like... makes that fight pretty winnable. You could get Apparitions. Clothesline is definitely good. Metallicize is an interesting call-out. Why do you think Metallicize is good for... Yeah, true. Right. Unorthodox ways of blocking. I mean, Feel No Pain is definitely... yeah. I guess you're right? So Metallicize gets around Frail. So Metallicize, actually, we're probably underpicking. I frequently see Metallicize and think to myself, what's the point of this card in this deck? And maybe the point is it blocks Shelled Parasite after the 21, right? And that's pretty good. Obviously, you don't want to pick it with like an Orichalcum or something, which is something that happened recently. Oh wait, no, it works with Orichalcum. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so maybe not picking... I picked Clothesline pretty aggressively, so I don't think I need to adjust that at all. Clothesline's definitely good in that fight. And like Shockwave, obviously. Yeah, the 21 is tough. It's tough to not take 10 damage on turn 1. Okay, other places we died. We did die in Act 1 quite a bit. Only once to Gremlin Nom. It's interesting for me to see that actually we died most to Sentries. We died twice to Sentries, once to Nob, once to Lagavulin, once to Slime Boss, and once to a hard pool fight. We died to Large Slime one time. It's pretty nice to see that we actually never died to Gang of Slimes or Gang of Gremlins. Those are the sort of scary hard pool fights. I'll just prioritize my device to preempt any interruptions. Necromancer. What do you mean by Necromancer, Hubba the Bubba? So yeah, I really just think, yeah, we just need to adjust our thinking to improve our Avocado and Champ fights, as well as maybe being a little bit less aggressive in Act 1. We did die 4 total times to Act 1 elites, so I think we might be a little bit too aggressive with the pathing there. So maybe we should try and take some 2 elite lines rather than taking 3 elite lines whenever we can see them. Okay. Let's see, are there any specific runs that we want to talk more about, or should we move on to talking about cards? I think we talked about the runs specifically as we went through them. I already talked about the switch from, or the altered thinking about removing strikes and defense. Total number of deaths, there was 27 total runs. Of those, 6 were heart kills, and 8 beat Act 3, which is technically a win in terms of like climbing ascensions. I never actually figured the heart kill rate there, so let's do that. Let's do that now. 6 over 27, so we had a 22% win rate, or heart kill rate, slightly higher if you consider the Act 3 wins. So not as high as I thought. I thought it was like 40. Can you check how many monsters you do in Act 1 versus question marks? I feel like Ironclad without boss swap should do more monsters than the other classes. It's an interesting question. It's hard to check that in this format. I mostly just think about like the first 3 fights and then the question marks and then like getting three elites. I shouldn't look at this one because this run was busted, had a feed fire at the beginning. This one took a lot of question marks. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the cards. Let's see. Is it character stats? How do you get the cards? Compendium, that's right. Okay. So... I'm not going to talk about the basics. Anger, this first card. So, I think Anger is actually like a pretty important pick on Act 1. I think Anger is like... I've had an overarching thoughts on Ironclad. That's kind of what this whole stream is. We're just doing an analysis of Ironclad. And what we think we should change to get better. I think Anger is usually a pick in Act 1. It's never like super exciting, right? But it's a 0 cost, 6 damage. Ironclad usually doesn't boss swap, so if you have 3 energy, drawing an anger is basically just getting access to an additional strike. I think that we picked this at approximately the right level. Maybe by picking it more, we could reduce our Act 1 deaths slightly. No, I don't think I have like a thesis. I'm mostly just looking at all the parts. I don't think I'm capable of aggregating them all to like one big takeaway. Yeah, I think we slightly underpick anger. I think we could pick it a little bit more. The upgrade is really significant because by the end of like a boss fight, you'll have 6 copies of anger, so getting 2 extra damage is a lot more impactful than it might seem. Armaments I love. I almost always pick an armaments if offered early in Act 1. Particularly if we're behind on upgrades, and we can upgrade the armaments. Armaments is basically just like a class version of Apotheosis that also blocks, which is like kind of absurd. Yeah, what Bad Terrence is pointing out, also good point. Ironclad like really frequently picks expensive cards like Bludgeon or Clothesline or even just Bash in the basic deck. Shockwave. So you really frequently draw more energy worth of cards than you can spend in a turn, and Anger helps to reduce the average cost of your hand. Armaments goes particularly well with things like Apparitions, or Runic Pyramid, or things like True Grit, specific cards that need upgrades. Yeah, I don't think too much needs to be said about this. Obviously, Armaments is like I think we're picking armaments the correct amount. I don't think by picking more armaments or less armaments, we could optimize our Snake Plant or Champ fights, which are the big challenges that we see. Maybe I overpick armaments. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you're better at Snake Plant if you don't pick armaments. Maybe if we picked armaments less, there'd be more room for things like Metallicize that we identified as a potential solution for not Snake Plant, Avocado. Could see that as a potential problem. Body Slam, I actually don't pick a ton. I basically only pick Body Slam if I already have a Barricade and an Entrench, which is probably I'm probably too hesitant to pick Body Slam. I did identify a couple of runs where I didn't pick a Body Slam where I should have. You can often view Body Slam as just like a strength scaling card, right? Because Body Slam plus costs 0. And just an attack that costs 0 is good enough a lot of the time. Although that's more of an argument for picking Anger than it is for picking Body Slam, but still. It seems like most Ironclad decks, at least the way that I'm running Ironclad, do end up blocking with Second Wind by the end of the game. So picking up an early Body Slam can just mean that we are... oh, sorry, I see some packets dropping. That's unfortunate. I set my quality of service, but it looks like that isn't enough for no packets to get dropped. Yeah, I guess whether or not you pick Body Slam does depend on whether or not you can upgrade it, right? Because if you upgrade it, it's basically like a better Anger, but if you don't upgrade it, it's kind of a worse Strike, and that's like that's a pretty wide range of cards to be compared to. Clash is basically unpickable. I don't think we picked a Clash the entire month. I mean, I get the fantasy, and I was just talking about how 0 cost attacks are sometimes necessary. We did generate Clash with Dead Branch a couple times, and it was playable. So I think that's really the place for Clash in Ironclad currently, unfortunately, is if it generates with Dead Branch, sometimes it's good. Which is kind of sad, but it's really hard for Clash to be playable. It basically has to occur in the same hand as a Second Wind, which is not uncommon. But even then, like you probably have a Dark Embrace or something, right? And you end up not being able to play it anyway. I pick it if I'm fighting a forced elite and my first 2 floors only had block cards. That's fair, sure. I mean, definitely if you need an attack to solve Act 1, I could imagine picking Clash. Yeah, that didn't happen to us this month, but I imagine if you play enough games it would. But outside of extreme circumstances, I don't think there's really a place for Clash. Cleave is a card we definitely identified as a problematic underpick. I think we need to pick more Cleaves, because we have a lot of Act 2 deaths, and Cleave is we have a lot of Act 1 and Act 2 deaths. Cleave is extremely good at both Act 1 and Act 2. Yeah, it would be much better if it said no skills in hand, because it's, yeah, with the Ascender's Bane, it can be very difficult to play. I think that's like, I think that Clash was created before the Ascension level, and then they didn't really think about how terrible Clash is at super high difficulty, and they just left it. And it ends up being like actually fairly decent before Ascension 10, but after Ascension 10 it's like very difficult to play. Yeah, Cleave is definitely, I think Cleave should be like probably the top priority for damage commons in Act 1. Outside of like, if you have a Limit Break, you should probably make a Headbutt higher. Yeah, Gremlin Leader and Slavers are the best Cleave fights. Which, to be fair, are not the fights we identified as the big problem, right? They're not Snake Plant and they're not Champ. But we did have 2 deaths to Slavers, and I think that there were several Act 2 deaths in which Slavers played a part, even though they weren't directly attributable. Cleave is not incredible at Slavers, but it is quite good. Particularly if you have like a Flex or something. Yeah, I mean, the best card for Slavers obviously is like Immolate, right? Well, I have backseating allowed, and also we're just doing an analysis where we're talking about the cards. I don't think you can really be too blamed for backseating. Yeah, I think Cleave should be picked higher, but I already picked Cleave fairly highly, so maybe that's not true, and it doesn't help with Snake Plant. So maybe I'm deluding myself here by thinking that picking Cleave higher is a solution. But I kind of don't think so. I mean, Carnage definitely, but Carnage is an uncommon, right? Like, it's hard to compare uncommons and commons. Carnage is like, you know, one of the better cards you can get to solve Act 1 and Act 2 problems. So certainly that's a great pick, but Cleave is way more consistently available. Hey, thanks for the subscription, Sub125. Thanks for loafing around for 3 months, appreciate it. Yeah, not too much more to say about Cleave. Yeah, I think Cleave is even more... So as much as I've talked about Cleave as an Act 2 solution, it's even better at Act 1. Cleave is just really solid against like Gremlin Knob and Lagavulin and Sentries in particular. Cleave is just a pretty solid card. Clothesline is also something I picked pretty highly. I think if we were going to rank the damage commons, Clothesline's probably like top 4. So it's like Cleave, Headbutt, Sword Boom, and Clothesline, approximately. There might be something else in there. Big Sucker Punch. Yep, basically. So Clothesline definitely is one of the more helpful cards against Snake Plant. So I think Clothesline probably should be picked unless there's like an extremely good... Oh yeah, Iron Wave. Iron Wave should be... I don't know. Iron Wave might be top 5 instead of top 4. Iron Wave's like in the discussion, but I'm not sure that it's displacing any of the other ones. Maybe Sword Boom. Sword Boom versus Ironclad is very situational, right? It's like, do you have strength scaling? If so, Sword Boom. If not, maybe Iron Wave. Iron Wave's definitely good. It's like a little micro dash. So yeah, so I think Cleave, like one per deck is like almost required if you see it, based on what we've identified as the issues. And I think we probably picking it slightly less than that, less aggressively than that in the past. So might increase the pick rate of this slightly. Flex is very situational. I almost never pick a flex unless I have orange pellets or whirlwind. You prefer thunderclap to cleave? Sure, that's reasonable. Thunderclap is like if you have carnage or something, definitely. If you don't, I don't know. Maybe if you have a shockwave, I could see thunderclap to extend the vulnerable. Shockwave by itself though is kind of awkward, especially on 3 energy. If you don't have like a big follow-up attack. I don't think flex is a big pick. Yeah, I guess you can take flex if you have a toxic egg as well, or if it's a flex plus. Maybe if you have a limit break. There's definitely places for flex, but I don't think flex is really really something we need to change how we're playing with. Flex is I would say a very situational card. I'm not super excited to pick it. It is like a speedrun card, right? So perhaps there's something that speedrunners know that I don't know, where like maybe if you just pick more sword boomerangs and pick more flexes, you just like win Act 1 more often. I did notice when I was doing the sort of lament speedrun to the Act 1 boss and then abandon runs that flex is actually pretty useful in that context. So maybe if we're trying to reduce our Act 1 deaths, we should pick flex slightly higher. I could see an argument for that. Definitely helps us get better splits against Slime Boss, for example. You think AoE vulnerable is worth 4 damage? 1 strike and it's 3, and that's the baseline. I mean, that's actually 1 behind the baseline, and the damage from the strike is not AoE, right? And it's 2 cards rather than 1. I don't know. I'm not super sold. Yeah, I mean, flex honestly isn't terrible against Gremlin Knob, because if you like flex on 1, then there's no punishment, and if you flex on a later turn, maybe you're getting lethal with it. Flex definitely I would say flex is sort of comparable to anger for floor 1 viability, right? Because you can just use OBJ's filter mod, turn off all the filters. Oh, really? Huh. The mod automatically rolls a 4-option seed for you. Yeah, I do want to turn off the stupid, you don't get the good options at the beginning of a run, so I think I will investigate that. Here, I'm going to copy that thing. Since I'm already running mods, might as well, right? Let's get back to my notes here. Okay. I think I will do that. Thanks, Jerrylicious, for the tip. So yeah, I think flex is often worth 6 damage when you draw it, if you flex and then triple attack, which is what anger does. So if I'm trying to pick anger slightly more, maybe I should pick flex slightly more. But flex without an explicit enabler doesn't seem amazing. I don't know. I guess I'm reasonably convinced by the flex to anger comparison. Maybe I should pick flex more, because like flex is a little bit less less deck polluting later on than anger is. Actually, significantly less, because it can be fuel for a second wind. It can help scaling against champ as well. The solutions we identified for Snake Plant weren't primarily damage based, so I don't think flex is particularly good for solving that problem. I think flex just helps us in Act 1, and maybe for scaling against champ, depending on, orange pellets or limit break. Glade Pixie, the bot isn't working, and I'm not sure why. Battle Trance is a 0-cost skill that draws 3 cards or 4 when upgraded, and prevents you from drawing further cards in the turn. Okay. Havoc. Havoc is a card we talked a lot about. Almost every time Havoc was in the card pick, we talked about whether or not Havoc was good here. And we did actually find some situations where Havoc was good. Let's see. So if we pick Havoc more aggressively, do we get better at Snake Plant? I think that's actually very possible, right? So if we have like an Impervious in the deck, then like Havoc could help us play that on turn 1. But if Impervious was going to be the next card anyway, if we just don't pick Havoc, then we would have drawn it. And drawing it is fine on turn 1. Havoc is such a weird card. I think I'm going to continue my policy of pretty much never picking Havoc minus, and picking Havoc plus when the deck doesn't have like multiple copies of Second Wind. Particularly if we're trying to get a small deck. Sorry, yeah, I always get Snake Plant and Shelled Parasite confused. Because their art just looks similar to me. But yeah, I do mean Avocado. Havoc is bad against Time Eater, kinda. Having a small deck is surprisingly good against Time Eater if you're able to like play Entrench every turn or something. No, sorry, I am talking about Avocado, not Snake Plant. The Shelled Parasite. Yeah, the Shelled Parasite 21 is the primary thing we're trying to fix, in addition to Champ. Does Havoc help us in Act 1? No, Havoc is bad in Act 1. We don't want Havoc against Gremlin Knob. It doesn't have any particular value against Sentries or Lagavulin, although I guess it doesn't hurt. Oh no! I definitely don't think having 2 Havocs in a deck is almost ever correct. Having 1 Havoc is sometimes okay, but if you're hitting Havoc into Havoc, you've either got a dead branch or something has gone wrong. Alright, I think I'm pretty comfortable with my current play level for Havoc. Headbutt, Headbutt's kind of a situational Act 1, or a situational damage common all-star, right? So like, if you're in the situation where you need Headbutt, you have like a Rampage or a Limit Break or something you want to play repeatedly, even Entrench, then Headbutt can be an absolute hero. Headbutt also just like is 9 damage in Act 1. I don't think picking Headbutt more highly would help me in Act 1 or Act 2, which are the big challenges. I think I might be picking Headbutt too highly. I think if we pick Sword Boomerang more highly than Headbutt, then we'd be better at both Act 1 and Act 2, which are the problem situations we've identified. So I think maybe I'm trying to get a little bit too cute with the Headbutts, and I should just stick to more basic stuff unless we're in like a more specific situation. Obviously, any damage common is still going to be a pick on floor 1 if it's the only damage common available. I'm not trying to say that I should not pick Headbutt. I think that maybe I just pick it a little bit too much. I get excited about the combos, and I don't think that's really where you want to be against Avocado. Heavy Blade. I don't pick Heavy Blade very highly. I basically only pick Heavy Blade if it's the only attack early in a card reward, or if we have a lot of strength scaling. Hold on for a second. I'm gonna go check and see if we can get the internet back online. Might be having problems with our ISP this morning. Let me check really quick. See what's going on here. Bad Turret says, Sword Boom isn't an Act 1 pick for me unless in exceptional circumstances. That's an interesting take. It's pretty counter to the... yeah, it looks like there's no contention on our local network, so it's something external. It's causing the packet loss. I'll have to call the ISP or restart the router or something. Yeah, I think the Sword Boom just like does a lot of damage per energy. Although I guess it does the same damage per energy as Headbutt in the absence of Strength. But we haven't talked about Inflame yet. But I think I might be underpicking Inflame. Clearly, I'm not a big fan of Inflame. But if we're dying to Champ a lot, I think we maybe need to be picking it more. Why aren't we so focused on Snake Plant today? Well, we talked a lot about the places in which we're dying, and Snake Plant was the most important one. So we died, what was it? 3 times to Snake Plant? Thanks for the follow, Ep1018. Appreciate the support. Welcome to the Vegetable Patch. And I guess we did also die twice to Sentries, and Sword Boom is a bad pick against Sentries. We haven't even talked about Sword Boom yet, we're just getting ahead of ourselves. Headbutt also is particularly good against Sentries. So maybe we would actually be decreasing our win rate if we started picking Sword Boom over Headbutt. Hard to say. Let's see. Okay, so what do we think about Heavy Blade? I basically never pick it unless I have strength scaling. And I think that's correct. I guess Heavy Blade is pretty good against Champ, huh? If we've got strength scaling by then. So maybe we need to be picking Heavy Blade slightly more for Champ considerations. We did die 3 times to Champ. He's the leading killer of Vegetablebreads. So if we think Heavy Blade is good against him, we should probably pick it more. Honestly, I think just like being aware that we die a lot to Champ is a good thing to know for the future, right? I think we'll die less to Champ if we're aware. Yeah, obviously if you have Snecko, there's different considerations. Iron Wave, a chat favorite. People were talking about Iron Wave when I was listing my my top damage commons. Yeah, I think Iron Wave definitely belongs in that conversation. A small dash, really important upgrade, but potentially less important than like Anger. Even though the numbers are the same, it's really important to get Anger upgraded, or like Shield Slam or Body Slam. It's called Body Slam in this game. Yeah, not too much to say about Iron Wave. It's a good card against Avocado. It's a good card in Act 1. I think we should probably pick it slightly more than we were. I think we were... There's a couple of runs where we died in Act 1, where we maybe wouldn't have if we picked an Iron Wave. Yeah, Shield Slam Hearthstone, sorry. But they're like, it's confusing because those cards do literally exactly the same thing. They're like direct copies of each other, and they both say Slam in the name. Except that one can't go face, and the other... I mean, there's no cards in Slay the Spire that can't go face. Not going face is not a concept that makes sense in that game. So. Right, it's bad against Champ. You don't like upgrading Anger. It's 2 damage, and you stop playing Anger much later on as your deck gets bigger. Sure, I mean, you're not wrong. I just think if you're playing Anger, if there's an Anger in your deck, you're probably going to end up playing it like 7 times or something against a boss. And so that upgrade ends up being like an additional 28 damage, or I guess it would be 14 damage. I don't know why I multiplied it by 4. Yeah, maybe 14 damage is not enough. I don't know. But like Iron Wave is only going to do an extra like 6 damage. Play it 3 times. Okay, yeah, Iron Wave is great. Probably want to up pick it a little bit. Perfected Strike. We did have a couple of Perfected Strike runs. The first run was the big Perfected Strike one with like a dual wield and stuff. I definitely think Perfected Strike is something you want to transition out of. So yeah, let's talk about transitioning. So I think that part of the reason that I died in Act 1 and Act 2 more than Act 3 and Act 4 is I started picking Act 3 and Act 4 cards too early. So I was picking like Second Winds and Barricades and stuff in Act 1. And those cards aren't good for Act 2. So we would end up sort of behind the curve, you know, with a barricade in hand against a snake plant, right? Or avocado. I keep messing that up. Against avocado. And dying. And Barricade's a great card. I'm not trying to say that I don't want to pick Barricade anymore. But I do think I picked it too highly. And Perfected Strike is sort of emblematic of that. Because Perfected Strike is a terrible Act 3 and Act 4 card. And it's likely even to be a bad Act 2 card if you find Pandora's Box. But it's an excellent Act 1 card. And it's often quite a good Act 2 card. If you can, like, do, like, Thunderclap Perfected Strike on turn 1 against Slavers, you're pretty likely to win that fight. Or, like, Shockwave Perfected Strike, even better. So I think Perfected Strike is something that I shy away from because it's bad in the late game. But based on the statistics we've collected, I need to pick things that are bad in late game and good right now in Act 1 and Act 2 to get more wins. So I think Perfected Strike is probably a big adjustment that needs to get made. I think we need to pick a Perfected Strike more than we do now. Because if we get to Act 3, the statistics say that we usually win. We've only died 4 times in Act 3 and Act 4 total for the whole month. So, and some of that's an illusion, right? Because not every run got to Act 3. So, okay, so if we get to Act 3, what's our current win rate? That's a good question. So we have 27 total wins. We died 18 total times in Act 1 and Act 2. Of the 9 remaining runs, we only lost twice. So 2 out of 9. Actually, our win rate in Act 3 and 4 is exactly the same as our total win rate. That is not what I expected. So it's 22%, which is exactly the same as 8 divided by 27. Or 6 divided by 22. Yeah, so 9 divided by 2... Or, sorry, it's... Wait, what am I saying? Sorry, what am I trying to figure out? I'm trying to figure out my win rate conditional on winning Act 1. So there's only 14... Or there's 18 deaths. So there's 9 total runs and 4 of them are wins. Yeah, so it's 4 divided by 9. Okay. So it's actually... Okay, so our win rate doubles if we make it to Act 3. So yeah, so we need to decrease our Act 3 and Act 4 win rate and increase our Act 1 and Act 2 win rate, and we can do that by picking Perfected Strike somewhat more. So yeah, so we've now corrected for survivorship bias. Well, no, hold on. No, we actually haven't, right? Because if you do make it to Act 3 and Act 4, you would expect a higher win rate, right? Because you've survived the early challenges, so you've already... right, the picture of the plane with the holes. So you would expect some amount of win rate increase from that point. Correcting for that is not easy. Yeah, I don't think there's anything I can really I can really say to prove my point there, right? You would need you'd need sort of an objective analysis of how difficult Act 3 and Act 4 are relative to Act 2, and I don't think that such a thing can easily be created. So I'll just have to go with my subjective impression that our win rate in Act 3 and Act 4 is too high, and if we can decrease that to increase our Act 2 win rate, we should do that. Okay, Pommel Strike. I'm not a big Pommel Strike picker. I generally... we are like fairly constrained on card draw as a resource with Ironclad. The only really good sources of it are Battle Trance and Burning Pact. And Burning Pact can be expensive if you're playing with 3 energy. Pommel Strike did play an important role in a infinite combo that we did, and that was a win. So obviously if you have Sundial, Pommel Strike Plus gets a lot better. Outside of that, do we think we beat Champ and Avocado more if we pick more Pommel Strikes? Maybe. I think Pommel Strike is best at Act 1. I think Pommel Strike is particularly good against Gremlin Knob. And tends to be pretty good against Act 1 bosses. I think it's probably bad against Champ, and it's probably better than a replacement card against Avocado. So that's interesting. Obviously a really good upgrade. So if you have access to an upgrade and don't have a current good target for it, Pommel Strike's value goes way up. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing about Corruption is it does both, right? Corruption both blocks for the first like 3 or 4 turns of the fight and exhaust your deck so you can do some crazy stuff. Yeah, I think we should probably increase our Pommel Strike pick rate. I think it solves some of the problems that we've identified. So I think I probably underpick Pommel Strike. I don't want to like... So this card analysis section is focused on the ways that I want to change the current way that I'm playing. It's not like first principles analysis. This is we're reasoning based on analogy and statistics. And so I want to clarify that when I'm saying pick something more, I don't mean pick it every time I see it. I mean that my current behavior is wrong in generally this direction. So these are very slight modifications we're talking about. And we're not gonna like change our behavior dramatically. I think we're fairly close to playing correctly, which is not to say that I think we're playing perfectly, right? I just think that correct play is sort of like we're not dumb, is what I'm saying. We're doing things pretty close to correctly now, and we're getting lots of wins, right? We're getting wins 20% of the time we play. That's great. The Ascension 20 is very difficult, right? If you're winning 20% of the time, I think that I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm not trying to like throw away my current routine completely and like, I don't know. I mean, I guess like if I studied Life Coach a lot, I could probably, and it just did whatever I thought Life Coach would do, maybe if I did that successfully, we could get to 50% like he's at. And maybe that is like a total paradigm change. But I think studying Life Coach's play would be not very fun. And would take a long time. And B, I think that if we studied Life Coach's play and tried to copy what he did, yeah, I know that his win rate is higher than 50%, but I'm saying if we copied him, maybe we could get to 50%. And B, I think if you copy somebody's win rate or copy somebody's play without understanding the reasons for doing it, you can end up in situations where you don't actually understand what you've done, and you've made a mistake that you also don't understand. So if you think, what would Life Coach do, but you don't understand why he would do it, then you'll end up doing things that Life Coach would not do, because you're not Life Coach, right? You don't actually understand the reason. You're just trying to pick cards that he picks. And so I would prefer to try and evolve my understanding of how to play. than try and ape somebody else's playstyle. Also, like, Life Coach copies about, or thinks a lot about future fights. If you watch Life Coach, he's always like, you know, he's picking a card based on 3 floors from now. He's going to fight Gremlin Knob, and is he going to kill Gremlin Knob by turn 3, right? And it's like, those are valuable things to think about. But if you just try to copy somebody's card picking strategy without thinking about those details in the same way, you're going to end up way off base. So I'm not trying to just copy that. Also, I don't even know. I haven't done the studying part of that strategy, so I don't actually know if he picks Holozark more than I do. Shrug It Off is pretty good. Let's see. Do we pick Shrug It Off more? I think Shrug It Off is pretty good turn 1 against Avocado. Less good on future turns when we're frail, but still okay. It's good against Sentries. Sentries did kill us twice. And Shrug It Off helps defray some of that. I generally don't pick Shrug It Off early in Act 1 because I'm afraid of Gremlin Knob. And I'm not really sure if it's correct to alter that. I think that might be correct, to be afraid of Gremlin Knob. Perhaps there are times that I can take Shrug It Off that I don't currently. Because it does seem good. It's also good against Champ, right? Champ has lots of, he hits you for 14 type of turns. And if you're getting hit for 14 and you Shrug It Off and defend, you've blocked for 13, that's fine. Yeah, and if we're doing defend removes instead of strike removes, Shrug It Off definitely has a gap to fill. And will do more damage. I already picked Shrug It Off quite a bit, so I don't know if I want to be a little bit cautious about increasing the pick rate of cards that I already pick a lot. But maybe I should be less careful about Shrug It Off into Gremlin Knob and pick it slightly higher because of Sentries. It turns out Sentries are more dangerous than Gremlin Knob, at least the way we're currently playing. So if we can change our Act 1 play to slightly optimize for Sentries instead of Gremlin Knob, perhaps that's correct. Also, I want to call out, we're doing statistics based on only 27 games. And 27 games is like quite a few individual floors, right? Like, if we assume that on average we get to like floor 35 or something, 27 games, 27 times 35 is a large number. But all those floors share a lot of conditionality, right? So like, if we pick a Rampage on floor 1, everything changes, right? And we've only got like one run the whole month where we picked a Rampage on 1. So trying to do statistics is a little bit absurd, right? We have to be aware that it's doesn't make a ton of sense to try and reason based on statistics. That being said, so I'm trying to say, like, because we died to Sentries twice doesn't necessarily mean that Sentries are more dangerous than Gremlin Knob, because it's 2 versus 1, right? It's clearly a small sample size. So maybe we should pick Shrug It Off more. Maybe if we played 1,000 games, we would die more to Gremlin Knob than Sentries. So I'm not going to change my Shrug It Off behavior. I think we're currently doing Shrug It Off approximately correctly. Right, slow down and think more before making decisions. That makes a lot of sense. Sword Boom has been a controversial card during the card analysis so far. We talked about Sword Boomerang in the context of Headbutt, and I said we should be picking Sword Boomerang more. And I stand by that. If we're most concerned about Avocado, Sword Boomerang is an excellent pick. Gets 3 more armor down. If we're worried about Sentries, Sword Boomerang is not a good card. But even against Sentries, you can just play Sword Boomerang on turn 1, and then if it hits one of the outside ones twice, great, that's your target, right? Like, it's not... It misses a little bit, but it's still does 9 damage to somebody. It's not like it misses massively. In the avocado fights with the mushroom, sword boomerang is somewhat less useful, but not significantly so. And against champ, sword boomerang is excellent. If you pick a sword boomerang, you sort of have an on-ramp to strength scaling, and champ is a fight where you need to scale so that you can kill him before he executes. And I think sword boomerang is an excellent way to encourage us to scale. So I think we need to pick sword boomerang fairly significantly more than we do right now. I think we underpick sword boomerang by quite a bit. I think it's an excellent Act 1 damage card. Swordy B. Yeah. It's not to say we're going to pick sword boomerang every time we see it, but I think picking sword boomerang more than I have is correct. Thunderclap, also a card that's come up a lot in the context of cleave. I think both Thunderclap and Cleave are good. I don't think I maybe I have been underpicking Thunderclap, but honestly I'm not sure. 4 damage is not very much. Is my main problem with Thunderclap. 4 damage is like the lowest damage number on any card. 4 damage is like a shiv, right? Are there any cards that do less than 4 damage? I guess there are. There's a couple of 3 damage, like defect to 0 costs. Ooh, there's a little kitty in the railroad property across the way. A wildcat. Quick, show Coconut. Coconut's not a wildcat. Coconut's a sleepy cat. Thunderclap is definitely good, particularly if you have... Oh, we lost it. Particularly if you have 4 energy. I think if you have 4 energy, riddle with holes, that's fair. If you have 4 energy, then Thunderclap plus other attacks is likely to outscale Cleave. It does scale well with strength, and it is vulnerable all game. But I don't know if it's improving our avocado or champ or sentries fights. So I don't think I can justify increasing my pick rate for it. Obviously, it's a pick if you have like champ belt, or if you have like a shockwave and you want to continue your vulnerable. I think there's a lot of context where Thunderclap is good. It's a good strength scaling card. But I think I'm pretty comfortable with my current pick level, and maybe it's even too high. Hey, Vicar IP. I think it's hard to imagine my current pick rate being too high. I don't pick it very aggressively. It's like one of my least favorite damage commons for Ironclad. But I don't think I'm gonna up-select it at this time. Maybe in the future. True Grit's great. I think one of the big learnings from this series is, if you'd asked me at the beginning of the series, I would say True Grit is not very pickable if you don't have an upgrade. And then I believe Bad Terrence said at one point, like, it's necessary for bosses, but it doesn't really need an upgrade. And so I started trying out True Grits without upgrades more, and I don't think I ever got screwed by that decision. I think True Grit is fine with no upgrade. It's like, if there's a card in your hand that's so important that you can't exhaust it, then play that card, and then play True Grit. Like, your hand is never full of cards that you can't get rid of. Almost never. So I don't think True Grit really needs an upgrade anymore. And in fact, you only get 2 extra block. So it's not even that good of an upgrade, based on my current thinking. Obviously, it does have a good upgrade, and it's particularly useful against Act 4, when you want to target specifically the statuses. But I think I really want to decrease my perceived value of the True Grit upgrade. I think that upgrading just some random attack is probably better than upgrading True Grit. Because upgrading True Grit doesn't help us against Champ, doesn't help us against Avocado, doesn't help us against sentries. It just blocks for 2 extra. It's like kind of a waste of a campfire. So I still like True Grit a lot. I don't think I want to change my pick rate for True Grit, and if anything, I think maybe it should go up. But yeah, it was a big light bulb moment for me, where I was just like, oh shit, yeah, I just don't have to upgrade True Grit at all. It's fine. As just a True Grit minus. Because I used to consider the True Grit upgrade like as high priority as like Shield Slam or Body Slam, but I don't anymore. Let's see, still a great card. True Grit is guilty of that play pattern that I mentioned earlier, where I optimize for Act 3 and 4 at the cost of Act 1 and 2. True Grit in the context of Act 1 and 2 is just a worse Shrug It Off. So if I have True Grit versus Shrug It Off, I think that the statistics that we've collected indicate that we should be picking the Shrug It Off instead of the True Grit, because Shrug It Off is better against like sentries and Snake Plant and Champ. And then maybe pick True Grit later on in the game when it's actually good for exhausting statuses that come from enemies. Right, exactly. Yeah, if you play True Grit last, then the only cards left in your hand are the, the last kids picked. So we want to slightly down select True Grit, and also significantly down select True Grit Plus. Twin Strike. Twin Strike is a card that weirdly hasn't been mentioned in our top Ironclad damaged commons discussion, and I think that is a mistake. I think True Grit is definitely one of the better ones. I think it's better than Headbutt. Usually, I think it's probably better than Sword Boomerang a lot of the time. Twin Strike does 10 damage, whereas Sword Boomerang only does 9. Twin Strike is targetable, which is really important against sentries, which is a fight that we had some problems with. Twin Strike still has some of the positive properties against Avocado, although it can't take off 3 armor, it can only hit 2. But it's a lot of the time when you play Sword Boomerang, it's only getting 1 or 2 armor anyway, right? Because he has like 5 block or something. And if he has specifically 4 armor, then Twin Strike and Sword Boom both remove 2 of it. I'd rather take nothing than just have it for 7 block. Yeah, that's fair. I do think True Grit, like, you often have exhaust synergy by the end of the game, so I think True Grit, like, is usually a pick because of the exhaust synergy, but it's not guaranteed. So yeah, I think I want to significantly uppick Twin Strike. I said earlier that I wanted to up-select Perfected Strike as well, and that means that picking all of the strikes gets slightly better. I think Twin Strike is an excellent card for dealing with all of the attacks all of the fights we talked about, Champ included. It's a strength scaling card, so big plus for Twin Strike. Warcry is a card kind of like Havoc that we talk about a lot whenever we see it, because it's always confusing to figure out whether or not Warcry is good. I don't think it particularly helps in any of the fights we talked about. I think whether or not you pick Warcry, it just depends on your deck. We didn't have a lot of problems against like Time Lord. We in fact never died to Time Eater the whole month, despite doing several infinites. So I don't think we're too worried about like Warcry for the card density issues. We also never died to Chosen. We never died to any density punishers. I guess we died to the Heart, which is technically a density punisher, but I don't see any reason to either up-select or down-select Warcry based on what we've seen. I think it depends on what your deck is, and it's a difficult card to evaluate in a vacuum, so I'm going to stop attempting to evaluate it in a vacuum. Wild Strike. Wild Strike is a card we've been picking a lot. Act 1 Wild Strike is probably our highest picked damage common. We've been picking Wild Strike almost every time we see it. And I think that's highly justified by the statistics. I think we're correct to be picking Wild Strike very highly. If we could pick it more, I would say we should do that, but I don't think it's possible to pick it more. I think we've been picking Wild Strike whenever it's even feasibly possible. Often ending up with 2 Wild Strikes or Wild Strike Plus in a deck. Gives us an on-ramp to status synergy. It's a big front-loaded damage, which is like helpful in at least some of the fights that are problematic. Sentries, Avocado, and Act 1 bosses, and Slavers. Not particularly useful against Champ. In fact, it's kind of a liability against Champ. Maybe overpicking Wild Strike is why we're bad against Champ, but I kind of don't think so. I think we do probably overpick Evolve. I'm usually pretty excited when I see Evolve. And perhaps overpicking Wild Strike is responsible for that. But Wild Strike is so good, I don't think I'm willing to decrease the pick rate. Maybe if we see, like, Wild Strike versus Twin Strike, we would migrate towards Twin Strike just because we've been underpicking Twin Strike. It's only 2 extra damage, and only 1 extra damage after the upgrade. Right? Twin Strike gets 14 damage? Yeah. Or wait, no, because Wild Strike gets 17 damage, so it's 3 damage after the upgrade. So 2 to 3. Okay. But Wild Strike does damage 2 times, which is fairly important. And the wound is a downside, despite the status synergy that we often end up on. So I think Wild Strike is approximately correct. Higher if that were possible, but it's not. On to the uncommons. First up is Battle Trance. We pick Battle Trance really highly currently. Do we pick it too highly? It's good against Sentries. It's good against Act 1 bosses. It's good against Champ. It's good against Snake Plant. Nope. I think we pretty much need to continue picking Battle Trance as highly as we possibly can. Kind of similar analysis to Wild Strike. It's like, I would pick it more if I could, but I can't because I already pick it every time I see it. We had several decks that had 2 Battle Trances, and we did occasionally run into double Battle Trance problems. We also, I believe, one time over the course of the run, accidentally ate an Artifact Charge, or were unable to eat Battle Trance because we needed the Artifact Charge for something else. I think we almost didn't see any Clockwork Souvenirs over the course of the run. We had like 4 Orange Pellets runs and 0 Clockwork Souvenirs runs, which is kind of strange. Battle Trance definitely gets worse in the context of Clockwork Souvenir. But that context like never came up this month, which is just statistics and randomness being weird. But yeah, I think Battle Trance is extremely good. I don't really want to change how much I pick this because I pick it a lot, and it seems like it's good in all the fights that we care about. Blood for Blood. I have complicated feelings about Blood for Blood. We should probably pick Blood for Blood higher than we do. Reason being that we did die several times to boss fights. Not just Champ, but also we died, what was it, 3 times to the Act 1 bosses? No. We actually only died 1 time to the Act 1 boss. We died to Slime Boss once. Which doesn't seem right, but apparently that's the case. But we did die to Awaken 1 twice, and to the Heart twice. And I think that Blood for Blood is good in all of those. Yeah, it does. So going back to Battle Trance, the you cannot draw additional cards is considered a debuff and will interact with an Artifact Charge. And you can get rid of it with Orange Pellets as well, which is kind of neat. It's hard to analyze uncommons because they don't come up quite as much. Obviously, Blood for Blood is good if you have like a Rupture or a Combust or Hemo. Even if you have like Apparitions, you're more likely to take more instances of damage. And Blood for Blood's good. I currently do not generally pick Blood for Blood on floor 1. And maybe I should. I don't think that ever came up. Yeah, I mean, Blood for Blood, like, it typically costs 0 when you're actually playing it. So any extra damage is just infinite value, right? Value per energy. And 22 damage is a ton. 3 makes it actually playable. So I should probably up-select Blood for Blood slightly. Also, it is really good against Avocado, right? We can Avocado multi-attacks, so he's likely to activate our Blood for Blood, and it's really good for getting through the plated armor immediately. Are there any other costs that cost less and get a throughput increase when upgraded? I think the answer is yes. But I can't think of one. Maybe the answer is not yes. Maybe you're right, and Blood for Blood's the only one. There's not that many cards that get decosted, so maybe it is the only one. There is whatchamacallit, Seeing Red, which is kind of cheating because the cost decrease does increase the throughput, right? It's an energy card, so decreasing the cost increases the throughput. But that's kind of cheating. Yeah, it's an interesting point. I can't think of another card where the cost goes down and the numbers get better. I feel like Master Reality should get innate when you upgrade it, but it doesn't. It just costs 0. Okay. Bloodletting. I don't think we picked Bloodletting at all. This run. The whole package of Rupture cards did get upgraded, or self-harm cards. Hemo, Kinesis, and Rupture both got a buff. So you would sort of assume that Bloodletting got better as a result. We did play Bloodletting a couple of times as a result of Dead Branch. But I don't think we ever picked one. Oh wait, we did pick one. We picked one in like a deck that was having trouble getting Demon Form online, and then died in Act 2. So, yeah, Bloodletting is kind of just bad offering. Also known as offering at home. So I'm not... Yeah. Honestly, I think I should decrease my pick rate for Bloodletting, because the one time I picked it, I, like, died and then made fun of myself later. Like, what is this Bloodletting doing here? Why didn't I pick the Cleave? But I already pick it really low, so I don't know. Seems like a bad card generally. Maybe if you already have a Rupture in your deck, you should pick it, but it's an uncommon and so is Rupture, so that situation doesn't come up a whole lot. Also, Rupture is not generally a super good card. You kind of need, like, a reason to pick it. Although... we are trying to fix our scaling problems against Champ, so maybe we need to be picking the whole Rupture package higher. We already picked Hemokinesis really highly, but I don't think I want to pick Bloodletting unless I already have a Rupture. In which case I think I would already pick Bloodletting. But I also don't want to pick a Rupture unless I already have, like, a Hemokinesis, so, like, you kind of have to find 3 uncommons all in a specific order to make the Rupture package work, which is, like, very unlikely to happen. So you have to find Hemo first, because Hemo is always pickable, and then you find the Rupture, and you pick it because you have the Hemo, and then you find the Bloodletting, and you pick it because you have the Rupture. And it's like, that's the only way you end up with a Bloodletting in the deck. So, I don't think I want to change that situation. I think that's approximately the right analysis for Bloodletting. I don't think it really has a place in many decks. Burning Pact. Burning Pact is extremely good. I think Burning Pact probably gets caught under the umbrella of we overpick Act 3 and Act 4 cards a little bit. There was a run where we had 2 Burning Pact pluses and died to the Heart, I believe. And I was a little bit suspicious about whether that second Burning Pact plus is good. We did have a Toxic Egg for that run, so it's pretty hard to turn down. a Burning Pact Plus. And we fought the heart, so exhaust synergy is presumably quite good. Burning Pact does help against sentries, which is one of the problems we identified. Also helps against champ, I think, quite a bit. Helps us draw our scaling cards and block out. Not particularly helpful against snake plant. Or sorry, not snake plant, avocado. So I think I'm roughly comfortable with the current Burning Pact pick rate. Maybe it's a little bit too high. But I think the fact that we're picking Burning Pact is part of the reason that we're doing so well at Act 3 and 4. So maybe it's fine. Carnage is pretty much picked as highly as possible now, and I think would be more highly picked if we could. So kind of the same situation with like Hemokinesis and Wild Strike, where it's just like, yeah, we pick these, and I don't really want to change that. I don't think it's possible to upselect our Carnage pick rate in Act 1 and Act 2 at least. I think we pretty much picked every Carnage we saw. But if we weren't, we should be. So maybe we're picking more Carnages. I don't think I have anything else to say about this. It's a good card. Combust, I think, is something that we might be underpicking. Combust is part of the yeah, that's a reasonable analysis, Bad Terrence, but like comparing Pommel Plus to Burning Pact is a little bit unfair, because if you're comparing Pommel Plus, you should compare it to Burning Pact Plus, and Burning Pact Plus draws 4 cards. Which is quite a bit. And often, like, by the time the Burning Pact is relevant, you have statuses. Yeah, Carnage is a great card. Let's talk more about Carnage. It's just fun, right? Like, later on, it exhausts itself, so like Feel No Pain and Dark Embrace, love it. Dead Branch. But early on, it like just hits like a truck. It's not useful against the heart, but like whatever, it has Ethereal, so you don't have to mess around with it. Yeah, I want to up select Combust. We did die several times to Sentries. Combust definitely helps against that. I guess maybe this is not justifiable, because it doesn't help against Champ or Avocado. It just helps us pick a Rupture, basically. If we pick Combust more aggressively, we can take Rupture. Obviously, it's super good if we have Tungsten Rod. It's hard to beat that rate, even with like a really powerful late-game deck, because it's going to do, 40 damage for 1 energy, and with Tungsten Rod, deal no damage to you. Burning Pact Plus only draws 3? Oh, that's true. Yeah, sorry, it draws 2 by default. I don't know why I thought it went from 3 to 4. I knew it drew 1 extra card, but for some reason I thought it started at 3. That's fair. Yeah, I think I so because we die a lot in Act 1 and Act 2, and Combust is good in Act 1 and Act 2, I think Combust probably gets additional value, or additional pick rate. But I am struggling a little bit just to justify it. I don't want to justify it by allowing me to pick Rupture. I think Combust stands well enough on its own. I think sort of like the justification for picking more Combust is sort of the same as the justification for picking more Cleave. We just need more solutions to the common problems of Act 1 and Act 2, and Combust is part of those, part of the solutions to those. I don't like the upgrade though. Dark Embrace is something that we pick very situationally, but it always seems to show up when we need it, which is very strange for an uncommon. You would think that, like, okay, if you're like playing Watcher and you want to pick a Talk to the Hand, like you have to pick it whenever you see it. You can't just like wait for one to show up later. But it feels like Dark Embrace, we never pick it in Act 1 because it's a curse, and then we always get one by the end of the game anyway. Not sure what that's all about. Sometimes we do feel like we're missing Dark Embrace, but Dark Embrace is definitely a card that we already picked pretty low, and it only really helps in Act 3 and Act 4, and we're already doing fine at Act 3 and Act 4, so I don't think we want to pick Dark Embrace any higher than we do. This is pretty much never a pick in Act 1 and Act 2. I think, in fact, we might be overpicking it. I think we did pick Dark Embrace a couple of times, like in Act 2, when maybe we should have been focusing on our survival first. I do like Dark Embrace Plus quite a bit. Obviously, if it has, if it says Plus on it, you should probably pick it. But it's definitely a good card. But it's not solving the problems that we're actually having. It's solving the problems that we've already done a pretty good job at solving. So I think same level or slightly lower, perhaps, for Dark Embrace. Disarm is a card that never showed up this month. I don't know. We only got like 3 copies of Disarm offered to us the whole month. I would love to pick Disarm more, particularly against Champ. Also helpful against Avocado and Snake Plant for real this time. Actually, Snake Plant. Book of Stabbing, Gremlin Leader. A lot of multi-attackers in the game. Awakened One actually killed us twice. Disarm is excellent against Awakened One. Thanks for the follow. Fab Francois, 75. Appreciate the support. Welcome to the Vegetable Patch. Let me know if I got your name right. Yeah, I want to pick just I don't know how highly I picked Disarm over the course of this month because it was like almost never offered. I think we picked every Disarm we saw, would be my guess, but we still only got like 3. Not sure what happened there. Let's see. We might have skipped an Act 1 Disarm. We probably did. Because we're afraid of Gremlin Knob. So maybe we should pick it slightly higher. It isn't very good against Sentries. It's a dead card against Sentries and Knob, usually. Unless we pick, unless we have a Thunderclap, as Bad Terrence is encouraging us to pick more highly. But yeah, I think Disarm is difficult to analyze because we almost never saw it this month, so I won't keep talking about it. Dropkick is something that I usually only pick in the context of an infinite. I'm not a big fan of like Act 1 dropkicks. Sure. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely. I definitely do. I do think that I'm undervaluing Pummel. I'm probably overvaluing Burning Pact, but I do also still like Burning Pact more than Pummel Strike. So that's kind of a complicated relationship. Yeah, right. It's like Disarm is just amazing, and it's hard. Yeah, I probably shouldn't be skipping it even in Act 1. I don't think that Dropkick needs to get picked more highly. I don't feel like I ever missed an infinite because I didn't pick a Dropkick. I think that would be the primary reason for up-selecting Dropkick. And I feel like once you get... Like, Ironclad is actually really good at doing infinites because it's really easy to exhaust your deck down. And Dropkick is a frequent way to get the infinite to turn over, right? To do the actual... mechanic of it, but there's actually quite a few options for that. You can do like Sundial and anything, right? You can do a single dropkick and a dual wield. You can do like 2 finesses, right? Like there's a surprising number of options for the actual like net 0 cost cantrip part of the infinite, and I don't think that I need to be picking like an Act 1 dropkick even more aggressively than I currently do. That being said, I will pick a floor 1 dropkick if it's the only attack, for sure, right? It's a free attack. There's no reason not to pick it. Your deck starts with Vulnerable, so you pretty much always have access to it. I already picked Shockwave super highly, so... It's not like Dropkick is bad and I want to pick it less. I just don't think that we need to pick it any more highly than we already do, which is kind of like sometimes, It's certainly not a bad card. I think we pick it fairly often, but I think we pick it often enough already. Dual Wield. Dual Wield is a card that I'm always confused when I see it in card rewards. And I think that I want to pick Dual Wield more in the future. I think Dual Wield needs to go up significantly. Primarily because we lost to Champ 3 times, and Dual Wield lets us scale against Champ. But also because we frequently ended up picking Snecko Eye. If we pick Dual Wield, then Infernal Blade gets quite a bit better. Because we can Infernal Blade, get a 0-cost attack, make copies of that 0-cost attack, and then destroy people with it. So I think I was a little bit cautious about picking, particularly the first Dual Wield. Once you've got one Dual Wield, you can start picking more like Metallicizes and stuff. But I think I want to pick more Metallicize to solve Champ and Avocado. And I want to pick Dual Wield for those same fights and to go with the Metallicizes that I should be picking. So I think I want to upselect Dual Wield quite a bit. I want to upselect Dual Wield to like almost as high as like Entrench. Where the first Entrench, I'm pretty willing to take a speculative Entrench because it just often ends up paying off. And Dual Wield is bad in some fights, definitely. It's like not good against Gremlin Knob, obviously. But I think we need to be picking Dual Wield more. Also, really high upgrade priority, obviously. Any card that doubles in effect when you upgrade it is got a pretty significant upgrade. Dual Wield also is a way to turn almost infinites into infinites, right? Because of the dropkick implications. One of the many ways that I was talking about just a second ago. So Dual Wield goes up. Entrench, I was just talking about. Entrench, we pick quite a bit. I think we might overpick Entrench. I definitely had several decks with speculative Entrenches die in Act 2. So I think we're probably overpicking Entrench. And we need to decrease that a little bit. Entrench, not very useful against Avocado. Usually not useful against Champ. Obviously, if you have Barricade, different story. But I think, so if we have Barricade, we're always picking Entrench. We don't need to talk about that. But if we don't have Barricade, do we want to pick a speculative Entrench? And I think the answer for that is now no in Act 1 and 2. And I probably would take a speculative Entrench in Act 3. Just because it's likely to be good. And apparently in Act 3 we have the sort of win rate to take something kind of on a lark. But in Act 3 you also have less total card rewards remaining to get your Barricade. So I think we kind of need to stop picking speculative Entrenches. Which is kind of sad. I really enjoy picking a speculative Entrench and then getting a Barricade and going off. But I think it might be incorrect. Hard to say. Like if it's contextual like everything else. So if you're like way ahead and you can afford a speculative card, sure. Or if you've got like a Feel No Pain already, and you think you're going to be in a position where Entrench is going to be good, then sure. Entrench good even without Barricade. Entrench is a difficult card to analyze in a vacuum, but I think that I've been overpicking it, so I want to decrease this one somewhat, not a ton. Speaking of cards that we've probably been overpicking, Evolve. I like Evolve a lot, but Evolve, unless you're against, particularly if you're against Guardian, if you're against Hexaghost or Slime Boss, Evolve kind of gets a free pass, where it's not only good in Act 3 and Act 4, it's also good in Act 1. But if you're against Guardian, I think picking Evolve in Act 1 is a mistake. It takes too long for it to pay off, and it doesn't help you against Avocado, doesn't help you against Champ, doesn't help you... Well, it does help against Sentries. So I think we're going to slightly down select on Evolves. It is really a good card in Act 4 still. Let's see what else to say about Evolve. Also, really hungry for upgrades, obviously. It's a card that doubles when you upgrade it. I'm still going to pick Wild Strikes at really high priority, so if we have, like, 2 Wild Strikes, I'm still picking an Evolve. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say about Evolve. Obviously, like, second win makes it better and stuff like that. But probably down selecting a little bit on Evolve, particularly when it's speculative and particularly against Guardian. Feel No Pain is one of those cards that's really good in Act 3 and 4 and not good against Act 1 and Act 2, which makes it sound like I should down select it, but I'm not going to because it's way too good. This is one of those almost auto-pick cards, sort of like Disarm, and I think it kind of needs to stay that way. It's justifiable in Act 1 because of Sentries and I guess Slime Boss specifically. Hexaghost if you've got a second wind. Yeah, I think Feel No Pain needs to be still picked. No. Yep, don't have anything else to say about that one. That card's really good. Fire Breathing. Is a card that I don't pick much, and other than Sentries, isn't useful in any of the challenges that I've identified. So I think I'm going to continue not picking it much. In fact, I think I overpicked it a couple of times. I picked it when there was like a normality in my deck. One time, and then died when I should have just picked a Cleave. So I think we're going to slightly down select Fire Breathing, but honestly, I think I was, after the first like week of the challenge, I was already pretty much never picking Fire Breathing. I think Fire Breathing is pretty much only a pick if you already have like a bunch of status generation and an Evolve. So you kind of know if you want a Fire Breathing. Maybe if you have like a Mummified Hand or a Birdface Urn, I could see picking Fire Breathing, or Orange Pellets. I think we did pick it once just for Orange Pellets. We picked it in that Flex deck. Just to get a proc. And like 12 damage or whatever. But I think that's kind of where we want Fire Breathing to stay. You can stay in the basement, buddy. Flame Barrier is super good. Particularly good against Shield Parasite. He multi-attacks. He also hits for 21. Flame Barrier helps a lot. In that fight. It's good against Champ. Champ has lots of like little 14 damage attacks. We need to stay safe while we scale. It is expensive, but we have been picking Snecko-Eye a lot, and I think we want to continue to pick Snecko-Eye a lot. So I don't think the cost is a huge concern. I think Flame Barrier is going to continue to get picked at a really high rate. It's also good against Sentries, which is something we identified as being difficult. Anything else to say about Flame Barrier? Flame Barrier is one of those cards that makes a speculative Entrench good. If you have a Flame Barrier and an Entrench plus, block for 24, deal some damage return. That feels pretty good. And so if we're down selecting our Entrench pluses, maybe we should down select Flame Barrier too, but I don't really think that's necessary. On the topic of down selecting Entrench plus, if we are removing more defends, that probably is also an argument for removing down selecting Entrench, because you know, sometimes double defend Entrench is actually pretty playable. Okay, this card's good. I can't really pick it more because I can pick it all the time. Ghostly Armor has not been picked a lot. Got picked a couple of times in like Feel No Pain decks. or decks that we're really struggling to block. That feels about right. We might want to up-select Ghostslayer Armor slightly in Act 1. Hey, Pixelnice, how's it going? We're just analyzing our month of Ironclad, seeing what we learned. So yeah, I think we want to up-select Ghostslayer Armor slightly because of sentries. Ghostslayer Armor is super effective against sentries. Sentries give a big reward for having dense block cards, and Ghostslayer Armor is certainly that. I mean, Ghostslayer Armor is like better than Leap, right? It's pretty good. It's not good in Act 3 and Act 4, but that's kind of the cards we want to pick, right? We want to pick the cards that are good in Act 1 and 2, and less good in Act 3 and 4, because we're already good at Act 3 and 4. So yeah, I think Ghostslayer Armor gets a moderate bump here. Ghostslayer Armor should be picked quite a bit higher. Still, obviously not a good card against Gremlin Knob, but honestly, like, not that bad either. The Ethereal means you just don't play it, and then it won't shuffle. You do have to draw it, and, you know, you only, like, really draw, like, 3 or 4 cards after shuffling against Gremlin Knob, ideally, so it's not that significant, but it does matter. Cool. There's Hemo. Hemo is another one of those we pick it every time we see it kind of cards. Hard to up-select that. Do we need to down-select it? Is Hemo ever getting us killed? I don't recall Hemo ever getting us killed. Maybe I'm missing something? But I don't think so. I feel like Hemo just, like, is insane. We do end up not playing Hemo every once in a while if we're trying to save health in a fight. And that can make the deck a little bit awkward to pilot. But I feel pretty comfortable making those decisions about trying to optimize the end-of-fight health. And I think Hemo is generally still helpful even if you're in that situation. Because you just get to choose, right? If you're making the sort of luxury choice of, I'm not going to play Hemo because I'm going to take 0 damage in this fight, then, like, you're making a decision assuming that you're going to take 0 damage in the fight, and that means you're in a good position. So, what you want out of cards is cards that make you win when you would otherwise lose. What you don't want out of cards is the cards that make you win when you're already winning, and Hemo is a card that makes you win when you would otherwise lose. It lets you block by killing people. You think Ghostlay's pretty sweet? Yeah. I mean, I'm significantly up-selecting Ghostslayer Armor. I don't know if I'm, like, as hyped on it as you are, but I think Ghostslayer Armor's good. Yeah, I think we're done talking about Hemo. I don't think I really would pick a second one. I think I've been pretty shy about picking 2 Hemos. There are, like, marginal health considerations, right? Like, maybe if you swap into a Coffee Dripper, you should be pretty shy about picking Hemo. But we weren't in that position this month, so I don't really know what my in-context analysis of that kind of situation would be. Infernal Blade is a card we talked about in the context of dual wield. And I think it's probably something that I need to be picking slightly more than I do. I don't pick Infernal Blade very much. I'm not generally a fan of adding random attacks to the deck. But I think that Infernal Blade is somewhat helpful against Avocado. Infernal Blade is generally a good card in Act 1 and Act 2, right? Getting a random attack that costs 0 is, like, generally pretty good on rate. Because, like, sometimes it's an attack that costs 1, and Infernal Blade is a 1-for-1. But sometimes it's a, Meteor Strike. Or wait, no, it can't be a Meteor Strike, because it's a random Ironclad card, but still, sometimes it's a Bludgeon. And those, sometimes it being Bludgeons, can save you a lot of health. So I think very slight up select on Infernal Blade. I think it's still usually not great. just because it sort of adds some random garbage to the deck. But I think if you're in a position where you would choose a random attack, then you should pick Infernal Blade if it's available, unless there's a better attack available in the same card pick. So yeah, in Act 1, I would say Infernal Blade fairly pickable. I don't know if we ever saw an early Infernal Blade that was against no attacks, so we may be picking this card appropriately already. Yeah, it does work well with Feel No Pain and Dark Embrace, for sure. We generated a couple of Infernal Blades off of dead branches over the course of the run. It's quite good in that situation. I don't think I have too much to say about this. I feel like we're picking it approximately correct, but that's fairly low. Inflame is a card that I don't like, and I think that my bias against it has caused me to underpick it, and I think I need to up-select my Inflame picking. Inflame is too slow to be super effective against Snake Plant, so it's not solving, or not Snake Plant, Avocado. So it's not solving that problem, but it does help us solve Champ. And solving Champ is something we care a lot about. Right. Yeah, that's true, right? So yeah, I don't know. I don't like Inflame. It seems slow. And I won't pick it if I don't already have a strength scaling payoff. And so I kind of get into this loop where I don't pick strength scaling cards because I don't have any strength, and then I don't pick strength because I don't have any payoff. But I think that I need to pick both more strength scaling cards and more strength cards. Yeah. It does help Limit Break slightly. I don't... Again, I don't like Inflame for setting up Limit Break. I would rather just have, like, Vajra or something. Because then you have to draw the Inflame before the Limit Break, which only works, like, 50% of the time. Yeah, I mean, if it's floor 1, I'll definitely pick an Inflame, because it just wins you Act 1 fights. And, you know, I have identified that Act 1 and Act 2 are the problem, right? So Inflame generally helps Act 1 and Act 2. But by the time you're, like, partway through Act 2, you should have some other plan for scaling, generally. And Inflame is sort of weak. But, you know, if you have a Sword Boom in your deck, Inflame's great. If it's floor 2, Inflame's great. I don't want to be too hard on Inflame. So a slight up select on Inflame, but I'm going to continue not liking the card. Intimidate is not a card I pick a lot, and I don't see any reason to change that. It is weak is good against Snake Plant, so that's if you can like Intimidate and shrug it off on turn 1 against Avocado, you're in a decent shape, right, to win that fight. So I think maybe a slight up select on Intimidate for Act 2 hallway fights. Yeah, Poacher, obviously, yeah, if you have a Mummified Hand or Orange Pellets or Birdface Urn, then certainly Inflame gets some bonus value. You absolutely love Intimidate based on energy density. Yeah, sure. If you're still a 3 energy deck, Intimidate makes some sense. It's not good in Act 1. It can save you 5 health against Lagavulin, but it generally doesn't work against Sentries or Gremlin Knob. So I don't really pick it in Act 1, and then by the time you get to Act 2, usually you have 4 energy, and Intimidate doesn't seem so appealing. But if you are having energy density problems, certainly Intimidate can be a pick. The problem with Intimidate is I don't want to pick it in Act 1, and then I want to have it for Snake Plant, right? Or not Snake Plant, Avocado. And Avocado can be like the first fight in Act 2, right? So it's kind of difficult to figure where I'm supposed to pick it to help me with the problems that I'm having. It's also a card that gets double value when you upgrade it. Oops, that's the beta art button. So obviously, if you can get it upgraded, that's makes it a lot better. So if you have an Armaments Plus already, Intimidate gets a lot better. If you have a Toxic Egg, Intimidate's a huge pick. If you have a Shockwave, Intimidate gets a little bit better. Is Intimidate actively bad in Act 1? I think often, yeah. Particularly against Gremlin Knob. It's kind of a blank card against Sentries. If you draw it at the right time against Slime Boss, it does block for quite a bit. Blocks for like 12 on that turn. No, it's like... Is it? How much does Slime Boss attack for? It's like 38, right? So Intimidate would block for like 10. Definitely a nice energy-dense card. But not very card-dense. So I want to slightly up-select Intimidate, but I still have difficulty seeing like when exactly it works. Turn 1 Intimidate against Sentries doesn't do anything. What are you thinking about? Is it maybe if you're playing on lower Sentries, the lower Ascension, they don't have artifact charges? Turn 2 Thunderclap, sure. I mean, I guess. It's pretty rare to be fighting Act 1 elites and have like a lot of synergy for debuffs, right? It does exhaust, yeah. So it's got limited downside. I don't usually find myself in a situation where I need to remove a lot of artifacts from like Donu Deca. It lets you bash them. Yeah, that's fair. But we could be in that situation, you know. Certainly if we have like a sadistic nature, obviously Intimidate's super good suddenly. I do kind of want to play Sadistic Nature Ironclad at some point. I was kind of hoping that would happen over the course of the month. Have Niao give us a Sadistic Nature and then pick 3 Shockwaves. That's probably not very good, but it sounds fun. Intimidate would definitely go in that deck. It's not a... Yeah, it depends on your the deck a lot, right? So if you've got not very much energy, or if you have a lot of card draw, obviously Intimidate's good. But I think I'm already picking Intimidate in those situations. Weak is also like super effective against the heart, right? But I think we're roughly appropriately evaluating Intimidate currently. Got 1 floor 1, picked up 2 Thunderclaps, got my face smashed in. Oh, I see what you mean. Sadistic Nature, yeah, sure. Can we talk about how awesome Intimidate's art is? Sure, go ahead. I like the little cowering signs. They're like, no, don't do it. Metallicize is already a card we've talked about. We want to up-select Metallicize pretty significantly. Helps against Champ, helps against Avocado. We're going to pick Dual Wield a little bit more in the future. Dual Wield Metallicize is pretty good. We did have a Lost to the Heart that was a Dual Wield Metallicize deck, so we have to be a little bit careful. We do need a scaling damage plan as well. But yeah, we're significantly up-selecting Metallicize. I don't think we need to talk about that again. Power Through is already a card that we pick a lot. Very excited to see Power Through pretty much every time. Are we overpicking Power Through? Nope, don't think so. Power Through can be kind of problematic against Slavers, because you can end up with a deck full of wounds. But like, Power Through is really good against Avocado, it's really good against Champ, it's good against Slavers, right, because you can block on turn 1. Yeah, bad turns. You do make a good point, right? Like any source of weak is good against Avocado, right? So we do. But like again, I was talking about like it's hard to figure out when to pick it because I don't want to pick it in Act 1 and then Avocado is the first fight of Act 2, so we don't. It's hard to have it in the deck for that. I want to say I'm up-selecting Power Through, but honestly, I pick pretty much every Power Through I see. It's so good with Second Wind. I feel like a frequent component of winning decks is they have 3 Power Throughs and 3 Second Winds. So, I don't know. It's a good card. Okay. Pummel. I think Pummel gets sort of the same treatment as Twin Strike, Sword Boom, and Inflame, where we need to slightly up select strength scaling payoff cards and strength cards, because they help us against Avocado and Champ. So slight uptick on Pummel. Pummel's already a pretty high priority pick, particularly in like Act 1 or Act 2. But I do think we've been underpicking it. I think Pummel's been flying under the radar a little bit. This is a very powerful card with strength scaling. It also, exhausts if you don't want it, so low penalty for overpicking it. So up select on Pummel. Rage is something where my thinking kind of evolved over the course of the month. At the beginning of the month, I would never pick Rage, and I just thought it's just not efficient enough. My current thinking about it is it's pretty pickable if you can upgrade it. I think Rage Plus is just like a pickable generic card, and obviously we did do an infinite against the Heart that was block positive thanks to Rage. It's definitely like, if you pick a lot of cards like Rage and you end up with like a Rage and an Entrench in your hand, then you're like, crap. I've got 2 like block combo cards and no cards that combo with them. So there's a little bit of danger picking Rage. Rage sort of falls victim to Ironclad's poor card draw. And one of the main ways that Ironclad gets card draw is Snecko Eye, which makes Rage bad. So I'm not really sure that my current sort of low pick rate of Rage is inappropriate. I think it might be kind of fine. Thanks for the follow, Dr. Death Knight. Appreciate the support. Welcome to the Vegetable Patch. Oops, I always do that. I'm going to click back into the window and then it goes away. We were here. So Rage. Currently a low pick rate. I think it wants to stay there. Probably comes up slightly. Particularly if you have an upgrade available. Yeah, it is surprising how different Rage and Rage Plus are. Because it seems like it's only getting like a 40% increase. It's not as good as like a doubling card, but it's very significant. So slight uptick here, and there was a big uptick over the course of the month. But I think even higher might be appropriate. Well, I did say I was going to up-select Pommel Plus a little bit. So Rage and Pommel Plus is definitely a good thing. Rampage is actually probably the card that my perspective changed the most over the course of the month. Rampage, I started off as a card where I'd almost never pick it, and then of the cards where I picked Rampage, I won both of them. I had two runs where I picked Rampage, and they were both wins. In no small part due to the Rampage itself. So I think Rampage has got a huge boost over the course of the month. Goes really well with Double Tap, Headbutt. It wants you to build a small deck, and Ironclad is really good at building small decks. For some reason the bot's not working. Rampage Plus does 8 damage, or gets scales faster. If I were going to try and put describe why I think Rampage is better now, I think it aligns well with the sort of statistical framework we've been constructing. Rampage solves a lot of problems in Act 1 and Act 2. Oh, congratulations, Poacher. Very nice. No, don't sell yourself short. Congratulations. So Rampage Okay, so the second time you play Rampage, which isn't always relevant, but it is relevant, the second time you play Rampage, it does 16 damage if it's a Rampage plus. And thanks for the follow, Poacher2K. I thought I'd seen you around before, but happy to have you back. I feel like Rampage is sort of like on the pickable level now as like Carnage, where it solves a lot of early problems, and it solves them better than you might think. Why is there a gender icon after your shrug? Oh, you're saying, I don't know, man. I got it. Yeah. Can't really speak highly enough about Rampage. Obviously, you only want like an early Rampage. It does fall off after Act 2. I do stick by the you don't want to be trying to kill the heart with a Rampage deck, but you definitely can kill Champ with a Rampage deck, and Champ is one of the big problems that we identified. So definitely a big plus on Rampage over the course of the month. I did not imagine coming around on that card, but I came around really hard. Rampage is quite good. Reckless Charge is one of my favorite Ironclad cards. I'm a sucker for the Reckless Charge, Evolve, Feel No Pain Wombo combo. I mean, Reckless Charge is kind of a phenomenal card, right? It's one of those, if you have a bunch of card draw, it's really good, and then it also helps you get card draw with the Evolve. Gets you things that exhaust with Feel No Pain. It kind of synergizes with like every Ironclad package, and then it also is a 0-cost damage card, which is like super good in Act 1. The only reason not to pick Reckless Charge is if you're like a 5 energy deck with no card draw. But like, yeah, Reckless Charge has got among the highest pick rates of any Ironclad card, and I think it should probably stay there. It's good against the problematic fights we've identified. It doesn't help us scale against Champ, but it is a strength scaling card, right? 0-cost damage cards are infinite strength payoff per energy. So yeah, Reckless Charge is one of the best. We have a pretty low opinion of Fire Breathing, which we went over earlier. So I wouldn't highlight the Fire Breathing interaction too highly, but Reckless Charge is amazing. Rupture is a card I talked about pretty significantly earlier. I want to be picking Rupture more because it got a buff, but in the one game where we really had the Rupture thing going, we died to the heart. So I'm not really sure. Like, we had Rupture and Pain and Hemo and stuff, and we just didn't scale fast enough. So I want to say I'm going to upselect Rupture, but I don't think I actually am. I'm trying to upselect all of the strength scaling payoff and strength scaling cards, and it seems like Rupture should be part of that. But I'm just not sure that it is, right? Conditional strength scaling is just it's hard to justify. Because, like, Rupture... Okay, so I don't like Inflame very much, but Inflame is, like, at least it always works, right? Rupture is a 1-cost power that you have to draw and play before it does anything, which is the same as Inflame. But then it also just continues to not do anything unless you play other specific cards. Yeah, so I think I actually need to down-select Rupture. I think I was too optimistic on Rupture being good after the buffs, and I think it just probably still isn't good. I think the problem with all the self-damage cards is they're all uncommons. Rupture's an uncommon. Hemokinesis is an uncommon. Combust is a common. No, Combust is also an uncommon, right? Yeah, Combust is an uncommon. Bloodletting is an uncommon. It's just, you can't get a critical mass of them because they're too rare. So you can't actually find them. So you can't make this card work. So I think this is basically a never pick. unless you have like 2 hemos in the deck or something. Combust triggers Rupture. Yeah, it does. Unless you have whatchamacallit, Tungsten Rod. Sure, Brutality. Yeah. I mean, there's situations where I think Rupture's pickable, but I think Rupture is sort of a following indicator. I think you pick like a Combust first, and then you can pick Rupture. Yeah, Combust definitely triggers Rupture. Searing Blow, we did try once. I have not had very much success with Searing Blow on Ascension 20. I do have one Searing Blow victory on Ascension 20, but it's something you really have to force, and it tends not to be good. I think it's pickable basically if and only if you already have an Armaments Plus, you're early in Act 1, and you have like at least 3 campfires in front of you in Act 1. And you're almost never in that situation. Maybe I can downgrade that to if you already have an Armaments, you have 3 campfires ahead of you, and you're early in Act 1. Searing Blow is very difficult to get online, and it's painful to invest all those upgrades in one card before you get really any payoff. You need it to be like +5 before it starts actually doing any damage. Maybe it's good with like Snecko Eye or something. Dual Wield. If you already have Dual Wield and if you like boss swap into Snecko Eye, Searing Blow is probably good. But this is I picked too high. So I need to pick this less because it's just not it's too hard to do. I mean, you definitely can do it. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's not right to pick it almost ever. Second Wind is amazing. I do think I want to down select it a little bit. Second Wind is one of those cards that I basically auto pick at every phase in the game, and I think I want to stop picking it in Act 1 quite so much. It is still good at sentries, and we did talk about sentries being a problem. It can also be good at Avocado. Maybe I should just keep picking sentries Second Wind every time. I thought I needed to pick it less, but actually it's pretty good in all the fights that we identified as problems. It's good against sentries, it's good against Champ, it's good against Avocado. So I should probably just keep picking Second Wind every time I see it. Well, darn. I thought my analysis of Second Wind was more definitive, but it isn't. It's just that it's a really good card. People asked me about Second Wind like several times over the course of the month, and I always was singing its huge praises, and I was expecting this to be a bit of a come to Jesus moment where I speak ill of Second Wind, but I just can't do it. It's too good. It's good in all the fights that I care about. I already pick it a lot. I want to stay picking it at about that level, I think. Seeing Red, I think, is something that I've underpicked somewhat. Ironclad is quite good with a lot of energy. Yes. Yeah, I'll pick a Second Wind in Act 1 with no context. I'll pick it in Act 4 if I have no Feel No Pains. Yeah, it's just a good card. Yeah, I think that we're underpicking Seeing Red. I think this is probably a card that you pick conditional on getting an upgrade. The upgrade is really important for Seeing Red. It's basically a 50% upgrade because it's 1 energy for 2 or 0 energy for 2. But I don't want to be too hyped on Seeing Red. I think you probably want like a Feel No Pain or like a Pummel Plus, right? Some sort of card draw before you pick Seeing Red. We did pick, it wasn't Seeing Red, it was Bloodletting. We picked Bloodletting after a Demon Form on a run, and then we lost that run. So I want to be a little bit careful about picking Seeing Red in decks that just like have a lot of expensive stuff. Because unless you have Pandora's Box, that expensive stuff is going to be distributed in with your like defends and strikes and stuff, and you're not really going to have a turn where you need to have like 6 energy very reliably, and where you draw Seeing Red and your demon form at the same time. So maybe a slight down select for Seeing Red, but I also pick it pretty low. Maybe we're picking it at about the right level. It's pretty conditional, and I don't want to pick it unconditionally. Sentinel is a card we don't pick very often. We did pick 2 of them yesterday, but yesterday was a Dead Branch run, so yeah, Sentinel's pretty much just a Dead Branch card. Sentinel's also pickable with Dark Embrace, right? If you have Dark Embrace and second wins, then you draw a bunch of cards with the second wind, and then you have the energy to play the new cards. But it's kind of in the same situation as Rupture, where it's like you need to have this rare and 2 copies of this uncommon before you pick this uncommon, and that just doesn't turn out to happen too often. But it can happen. Definitely it's not helping us solve any of the important challenges we're trying to solve here, which are Avocado, Champ, Sentries, and Act 1 and Act 2 in general. This is like an Act 3 or Act 4 card, so I don't want to pick it too highly. Certainly not in Act 1 or Act 2. So I think we're approximately picking Sentinel correctly right now, which is almost never. Sever Soul we may be slightly underpicking. I don't like Sever Soul, so it's going to be difficult. It's sort of like Inflame. It's one of those cards that I don't like it, so it's going to be hard to get myself to pick it more. But it does trigger all of your cool Act 4 exhaust synergies, but mostly it's just like a really dense damage card, and that's very helpful against Avocado and against Sentries, which are 2 of the fights we identified. So I could see Sever Soul being picked a little bit higher. Definitely Sever Soul's pickable if you have Snecko Eye. Just 2 energy deal 16 is strong in Act 1. What did you say about Clash? I said Clash is basically unpickable. So I think we need to upselect Sever Soul fairly significantly. We're basically never picking it now, and I think we should be picking it if we see one in Act 1, basically. Clash is not a good card. Spitty, are you playing on higher than Ascension 10? Because the Ascender's Bane is pretty... interferes with Clash very heavily. Yeah, so Sever Soul, pretty significant uptick. I'm willing to pay the poor damage per energy just to have a chunky attack card, basically. It's like a Carnage, but just not as good. But Carnage is insane, so that's fine. Shockwave is something we currently pick really highly, possibly too highly. It's not an amazing card against Sentries or Champ. It's pretty good against Snake Plant. Or not Snake Plant, God. Avocado. Shelled Parasite. So, it's tough to say that we overpick it because we pick it really aggressively and it's a really good card. And I want to keep picking it aggressively, but like maybe slightly less aggressively. I think maybe a Shockwave in Act 1 is not super appropriate. It hard carries Act 1. Isn't that not true? I feel like in Act 1, you run into fights and then you like don't have time to Shockwave. Obviously it's good against Lagavulin, but it's not very good against Sentries, and it's not good against Gremlin Nub, and it's not really good against Hallways either. It's like okay in Act 1. It carries in like Act 3 and 4, and it's good against Act 2 Hallways. But I don't want to overstate how good Shockwave is. Obviously, I think Shockwave is super great, right? And it's currently a really high pick priority. But I think maybe a little bit too high. But it's still like almost always a pick, so it's a good card. Spot weakness is pretty much always a pick. When I was talking about up-selecting strength scaling cards and strength payoff cards, spot weakness is right at the top of my mind. Is Shockwave good against our problem fights? I don't think so. Our problem fights are like Champ and Sentries, where Shockwave doesn't do very much. Yeah, we are dropping an awful lot of packets. I don't know what's going on. I think it's just my ISP, unfortunately. I'll have to sort that out. Should be better on Monday. Yeah, so spot weakness is obviously insane. I think spot weakness is like almost disarm level, where it's like when you see it, you should pick it. Okay. So let's go on to spot, or from spot. Uppercut, I think is something we need to up-select slightly. Weak is super valuable against avocado, and uppercut gives us that. How many spot weaknesses will you run in a deck? 2 to 3, if I find them. You don't want to have just one, because then you can just like miss against the heart, unless you have Runic Pyramid. I don't think I would run 4 either, though. 4 is a lot. The uppercut seems pretty good. It's good at assassinating slavers, which is somewhat a problem fight. I already picked uppercut pretty highly, though. I think uppercut's probably like almost always a pick in Act 1. Particularly against like Gremlin Knob. So it's one of those cards where I want to say I'll up-select it, but I honestly can't really, because I already pick it really highly. But I think I can actually up-select it. I think there's some picks where I'll like take another attack over an uppercut, and I should probably be taking uppercut. I might even take uppercut over like disarm in Act 1. Whirlwind. I've been not picking super actively, and I think I want to continue that. I think I'm pretty low priority on Whirlwind. I will pick it if it's early, particularly. You can consider Whirlwind to be a strength payoff card, but I don't really. It pays off 1 strength proc per energy, which is sort of like the normal rate, whereas payoff cards either cost 0 or do multiple damage per energy. Yeah, Spitty, I actually disagree with that. I don't think Whirlwind is particularly good in strength decks. Outside of Chemical X. I think that maybe Whirlwind does need to get up-selected slightly, since we have some troubles in Act 1 and Act 2, and Whirlwind is really good in Act 1 and Act 2. But I currently have pretty low priority on it, so I think that goes up slightly. Particularly if you get an upgrade, obviously it does less damage than a strike before upgrade and more after, so the upgrade is pretty impactful. Also, it's a card that you can spend all of your energy on, so having it be more efficient per energy is pretty significant. Yeah, it's good against birds and Gremlin Leader, but neither of those really showed up in our Death Heat map. We never died to birds, and we died to Gremlin Leader 1 time, so I don't think we really need to pick things that are good in those fights specifically, because we're already winning those fights. We did lose like quite a bit of health in Act 2 hallway fights, so Whirlwind is helping us optimize for that. But we rarely actually died in the Act 2 hallway fights. So I think Whirlwind's slight buff, or a slight up-select, but nothing too extreme. All AoEs have extra payoff from strength, sure. I mean, that's true, but it's like a cleave level payoff for strength. It's not like a sword boomerang level payoff. Barricade, I think we need to down select a little bit. There's a couple of runs where we picked Barricade as like the Act 1 boss reward, and then died in Act 2, and we need to not be doing that. I like Barricade a lot, clearly. It's definitely like a way to win Act 3 and Act 4. it basically like wins Act 4 for you, and it's super good. But if it's up against like Reaper as the Act 1 reward, we need to pick Reaper instead. I can't justify picking Barricade as an Act 1 reward unless there's nothing else good. Because it is going to be a curse for most of Act 2. And we talked about Entrench earlier, and I think I'm gonna down select on picking Speculative Entrenches and down select on Barricade. So we're gonna down select on the whole package there. Because if it doesn't come together, then you die, and sometimes it's too slow, and you die anyway. Yeah, it's flashy and it's nice, but like, I think we died to Awaken one twice with Barricade and Entrench. It's very slow, and it's easy to get punished carrying around the Barricade curse. Ooh, you've become addicted to dying in stone soup. Here, take a look at my. I made a Reddit post about my victory. I got the run that I started on stream. I got a win with the Troll Warper. Pick some lists. It's definitely, it takes some getting into. It takes a while to really figure out how to play Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, but I like it a lot. I think it's really fun. But it's got some accessibility problems, so you should play it if you've got some time to invest into a really fun but deep game. Yeah, so Barricade's good, but I think we're gonna select it less. As an Act 2 boss reward, great. As an Act 1 boss reward, I think no. Moving forward, unless there's nothing else good. Berserk. My thinking on Berserk evolved a little bit over the course of the month. At the beginning of the month, I was pretty much never on Berserk. But by the end of the month, I did take a couple of Berserks, and they did pretty well. You definitely need to be in the right situation for it. You don't want to take Berserk unless you like have a plan for upgrading it or for blocking on that big turn. Hey, Jackalo. Welcome on in. Can I necromance my summon minions back to life with Animate Dead? No. Summon minions won't leave corpses. Although I believe with, you could haunt your own summoned minions, with the, like, level 7 necromancy spell. I'm not 100% sure about that interaction. Also, I think they would probably turn against you if you haunted them, and they would attack you, but maybe that's fine. Maybe you just, like, summon butterflies and haunt them. So yeah, if you find a way to upgrade Berserk, and you like have a Runic Pyramid or Apparitions or something, I think Berserk can be a pick. Berserk is definitely a pick with Orange Pellets, but Berserk doesn't really help us with any of the problem fights we've identified, outside of maybe Champ. So we could pick an Act 2 Berserk if we see Champ coming and we think the energy is gonna pay off. But otherwise, I think we're going to continue picking Berserk at a pretty low level. So slight up select on Berserk. Bludgeon. Bonk. Bludgeon we picked pretty highly in Act 1 already. I think we want to continue to select it highly. It's not good against Champ, which is problematic, but it's great against Sentries. It's good against Avocado. Yeah, we're already picking Bludgeon, I think, pretty highly. I might want to pick it slightly higher. I definitely have skipped a couple of Bludgeons over the course of the month. I think Bludgeon as an Act 1 boss reward is probably something that I skipped and shouldn't. So, I think Bludgeon gets a slight up select here. Brutality is not my favorite card. It takes a long time to pay off, and sort of just helps you proc your Rupture, but I'm not picking Rupture anyway. I don't think we picked a single brutality over the course of the month, and I think that's approximately the correct number of brutalities to pick. The upgrade is actually not good, because you want to... In most fights, you want to like do stuff on one. You don't want to develop a power. Obviously, you can take brutality if you have rupture. You can take brutality if you have orange pellets. Ooh, thank you. But I think it's really constrained to those specific situations. I don't think we're ever going to pick brutality just for the card draw. Thanks for the subscription, DMoss18. Appreciate the support. Thanks for loafing around with your Prime Gaming subscription. Those Bezos bucks. Yeah, so I think brutality is pretty much never. Corruption's amazing. I think I maybe slightly underpick corruption. Like, I think I've passed corruption as an Act 1 boss reward when corruption is, like, very good against Champ and Avocado. So maybe we can use corruption to try and solve Act 2 a little bit better, but I already picked corruption pretty highly. I don't think corruption's the best card in the game. I think it's like, is apparitions allowed to be the answer? If so, apparitions are the best card in the game. If you don't allow apparition, then like probably Wraith Form. Wraith Form's pretty good. Corruption's definitely a good card. But there's a lot of good cards. Vault is a good card. Talk to the Hand is a good card. A lot of good cards in the game. Not too much else to say about corruption. It's super good. How does Wraith Form work? Wraith Form makes you intangible. No, by the time the minus dex wears off, the fight is over. Is the way Wraith Form works. So you kill people while the intangible is up. We'll be doing Silent next month, so keep watching. We'll play a bunch of Wraith Forms. Demon Form is not something I'm ever super happy to pick. I think I actually do need to up-select it a little bit, particularly as an Act 1 reward, because we need a scaling solution. We need a scaling solution for Champ. Champ is one of the big problems we identified. Demon Form solves Champ. Is this being recorded for YouTube? Yeah, it is. Although we're currently on hour 3, so we'll see how many people want to sit through a 3-hour Ironclad analysis stream. Which one is Champ again? Champ is the one who has like a bunch of metal armor, and he like metallicizes himself. Obviously, yeah, Demon Form is definitely good with Snecko. Yeah, so Demon Form currently picked pretty lowly. I think we need to up-select that a little bit, at least in Act 1. However, Demon Form is not very useful for Act 1, so it's kind of specifically at Act 1 boss rewards. I think we need to pick Demon Form, if it's there. Double Tap, we picked quite a bit. We did actually 2 Double Tap Infinites over the course of the run. 2 of our wins, I believe. Maybe we lost one of them. But we picked Double Tap pretty highly. And I think I'm pretty comfortable with that level of Double Tap. I don't think I want to pick it like always. But if there's a Dropkick or a Rampage in the deck, Double Tap is obviously a pick. Even if there's just like a Carnage or a Bludgeon, Double Tap is probably a pick. I think Double Tap is quite nice. Obviously good with Feed and Rampages, or Reaper as well. Even Bites. We're definitely dropping packets, Jackalo. I'm having some problems with my ISP today. Not sure what the deal is, but the stream should still be up. Can somebody else confirm that the stream is still up? Just so I know I'm not talking to myself here. So yeah, Double Tap is currently being picked highly, but I think it should continue to be picked highly. No change on that. Exhume. Nobody's confirming that the stream is still up. This concerns me. Oh, now Jackalow has confirmed. Okay, great. Okay, Exhume. Exhume is a weird card. Exhume is very, very sensitive to the deck, right? If the deck is good, if the deck wants an Exhume, Exhume is good. Is our current sort of, do we pick Exhume or not? We did a Exhume plus whatchamacallit, Strange Spoon run the other day, and that was really fun. Thank you everybody for confirming that we're still up in chat. Appreciate it. And I think that's about the right level for Exhume. Exhume doesn't help us with any of our big headliner fights. It doesn't help us with Avocado or Act 1 particularly. If we have a Reaper, obviously Exhume helps us save a lot of health in Act 2. But I think we're already picking Exhume at approximately the appropriate level. It's really only good if there's other cards in the deck. I'm not like super excited about a speculative Exhume, although I have picked a speculative Exhume. Maybe I picked Exhume too highly, actually. Maybe we need to down select a little bit. Because I don't know if speculative Exhume is helping us with the fights where we're dying, right? If we pick a speculative Exhume and die to Avocado, that sounds about right. Just get Dead Branch, Forehead. Easy. Feed is feed. We're always picking feed. I'm never down selecting feed. Feed wins you the game by itself. It's good in Act 1, it's good in Act 2, it's good in Act 4. It's feed. Next card, Fiendfire, same deal. Fiendfire is one of the best cards in the game. Several of our wins were because we got an early Fiendfire. Fiendfire is one of the easiest Ironclad cards to abuse. Exhaust your whole deck, do something silly. Fiendfire. Immolate, already max pickability. Helps us solve Act 2, helps us solve Sentries. It's not great against Champ, but that's really the only fight that we identified as a challenge where Immolate is not extremely good. Immolate's pretty much always a pick. I don't think we're down selecting that anytime soon. Impervious is fairly good. Impervious is at its best against Avocado for the challenging fights that we've identified. Also pretty good against Champ. And Sentries, I suppose. It's a nice dense block card. Yeah, Impervious is helps us save health against Act 2 hallways and elites. Maybe we pick Impervious a little bit too highly. It's one of those cards that's really good on Act 3 and 4 that we might be overpicking based on the statistics. But it's so good against Avocado and Snake Plant and Slavers and stuff that it's hard to imagine not picking Impervious very highly. When I'm talking about the pick rates of rare cards, I'm primarily talking about them in the context of like elite rewards. And if I want to talk about them in the context of boss rewards, I'll mention that specifically. Because like in the context of boss rewards, you're being offered three rares at the same time, so it's kind of impossible for me to in a context-free manner construct a framework where we can compare all of the rare cards in the context of seeing two other rare cards. So if you see Impervious at a non-boss fight, you pretty much always pick it, and I think that's the appropriate level. Juggernaut, on the other hand, I think is never a pick. I think there's literally no situation where you should pick Juggernaut. Yeah, I don't think I ever want to see Juggernaut again. We picked it in one run over the course of the month, and that run lost in Act 2 because it had a Juggernaut in the deck. I'm not sure what we were thinking at the time, but Juggernaut, I think, is probably the worst Ironclad card, including Clash. Yeah, it's okay with Feel No Pain and Second Wind, but Feel No Pain Second Wind is just good by itself. You don't need Juggernaut to make it good. Maybe I guess you could pick Juggernaut if you have like Snecko Eye and whatchamacallit, Mummified Hand. You just need a power, or if you have like orange pellets, maybe. But that's just about it. I mean, it's not a bad Ironclad card because it like deals damage. It's a bad Ironclad card because it's a 2-cost power that like doesn't do anything. Doing 5 damage is like it's kind of okay, but it's so slow, and it upgrades your Iron Wave is what all it does. It's like woohoo. Ironclad does 10 now. Limit Break is a card that I have not been taking speculatively, and I think I need to start taking speculatively. So I've been underpicking the strength scaling cards, and I think I need to pick Limit Break higher. I think I'm going to, in the future, pick Limit Break even if I have no strength in the deck, because usually at some point we will get strength in the deck, and we've been dying to Champ, and Limit Break helps you not die to Champ. It's not particularly good against the other fights that we've identified, Avocado, Act 1 bosses, or Sentries, but it's still quite good. And we have been skipping it occasionally, so I think I want to stop skipping it. Offering is super good. I don't think we're either overpicking it or underpicking it. I think we're picking it at approximately the correct rate now. Which is pretty high. I think we pick Offering pretty aggressively. The only real time you're not picking Offering is if you have like a Coffee Dripper and no healing, in which case it gets pretty scary. Otherwise, Offering is almost always getting picked. Also, I'll mention I really love playing Offering Apparitions. That's really fun. Reaper gets picked pretty much every time. Reaper and Strength Scaling is super busted, and I want to pick Strength Scaling cards more often. Reaper is one of those, certainly. But Reaper's probably already getting picked pretty much every time, so I don't know if we're really up-selecting it. I think we're just picking it the appropriate amount, which is always. Okay, that's all the Ironclad cards. We did it. We talked about all the Ironclad cards. We talked about all of our runs this month. And we figured out how we were going to change stuff. Just a quick summary. So we died... our total win rate was 22%. We had 6 heart kills out of 27 runs. We had 8 runs that were technically wins that died in Act 4. So we had two runs that died to the heart. We only died to one Act 3 boss, and that was Awaken 1, but we did die to him twice. The big things that we're trying to fix are we died to Champ 3 times, to Hyper Beam Guy twice, and to Collector once. So those 6 deaths represent like almost a third of our total deaths this month, was to Act 2 bosses. And we additionally died 6 other times in Act 2. Once to twice to Slavers, once to Gremlin Leader, once to Book of Stabbing, and twice to Avocado. So we're primarily working on trying to fix our Act 2 problems. We died in Act 1 6 times. Once to the Slime Boss, 4 times to the Elites, twice to Sentries, and once to a Large Slime. I should go back and look at how the Large Slime death happened, because that's really the only non-Avocado hallway death in the entire month was that one Large Slime that killed us. So what we're trying to fix is we're going to up-select on the strength scaling cards that we pick and the weak cards that we pick. I think those are going to be the main changes that we're going to make to our Ironclad play. A couple of specific things we learned. Rampage is apparently really good. I would not have thought that Rampage was good at the beginning of the month, but 2 of our wins were focused around an early Rampage. And I think we're going to up-select Dual Wield quite a bit, because that helps solve the problems we've got. And like Metallicize. Big losers are Barricade. We're going to down-select that one quite a bit. And Entrench along with it. We're also going to down-select Rupture. We're not going to try to get that online anymore. That doesn't work. We're going to down-select Evolve. We've been picking that too much. Yeah, okay. Well, hopefully you all tune in next month for Silent Month for March.